Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Industry. BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football, but of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
Say Texas.
Merry Christmas. Say, I love football. Say this. Say Tampa.
Tampa.
Bay.
Tampa.
Bay.
A.
Tampa. Tampa. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Say Tampa.
Tampa.
Bay. Bay. Oh my God, she's so smart and she's so precious. I love her to death.
Because I'm rooting for Toronto. I am not rooting, as I told you, for some SEC hockey team, Tampa Bay. I'm not rooting for them. I'm rooting for the Maple Leafs. They're just waiting for spring football in Florida. They don't give a damn about hockey. They don't know.
And that was Michael Wilbon of ESPN's Pardon the Interruption and his thoughts on the Tampa Bay Lightning and its fan base. Now, really, is it any shocking surprise that the national media member would take a shot at a Tampa Bay sports fan? Not in my opinion, but let's look at the facts. The Lightning lead in attendance this year, and just a couple years ago, ESPN crowned them as the #1 professional sports franchise in all of professional sports. With that being said, it kind of reminded me of a story going back to 7th grade. In fact, I used to wear this jacket every day, no matter if the Bucs won or lost. But a kid didn't like it, and he decided to burn a hole in it. Well, I continued to wear it. In fact, it motivated me to become a sports broadcaster and cover my favorite Tampa Bay sports teams. So all I can say is to the Tampa Bay sports fan, this is the challenges that we meet every year. Of course, there's other fans from other places. But at the end of the day, isn't that why it's so sweet to win those championships? So the next time a national media member decides to take a shot, do what athletes do. Scoreboard. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a 2-time Super Bowl champion. The Tampa Bay Lightning are a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. And of course, the Rays compete in all of Major League Baseball. And hopefully one of these days they win a World Series championship. Michael Wilbon and the national media are just bullies. For another edition of Peter's Perspective Live on Amped Up Sports, I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Tampa Bay sports fan. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here on a happy
Hump Day.
edition of the Sports Web Live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this edition of the Sports Web? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we will have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. At 9:30, we're supposed to have Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy and his return to, of course, this show, Mr. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. And at 10:15, we will have Mark Mancini of Mancini Media, XM Sirius Radio, and, of course, the bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams, talking about wrestling. And I'll tell you the reason why I haven't been on here this much with the debacle of trying to find a place to live. You can't make this stuff up. So I have to go off tonight. So how you guys doing? Are you guys ready to go? It wasn't necessarily the greatest night if you are a Tampa Bay sports fan, was it? No. Not at all. But you felt pretty good about it, didn't you, Lightning fans, right? 2 goals, 2-0. You got to love that. And then after that, what in the world was that? 4-3, they fall to the Toronto Maple Leafs. As somewhere out there, Michael Wilbon is sitting in a corner laughing, you know what, off. And the Lightning have one game. They got to win Game 6 versus the Maple Leafs at Amalie Arena to survive, or it's curtains. The season's over with. And honestly, I think the Lightning are going to look back at this game and they're going to be kicking themselves because the effort was there, or at least according to Steven Stamkos, for the most of the first period, somewhat of the second period, and then after that, the wheels came off. And we talked about it. It comes back to giving opportunities to the other team, turning over the puck in crucial situations where Austin Matthews is going to make you pay, where the big guys for the Maple Leafs are going to make you pay, where I have to hear that god-awful Hall & Oates song, "You're Making My Dreams Come True." Not good. So we'll see what this team is made up of tomorrow night. Because if they don't win, it's over. It's done. And then how about your Tampa Bay Rays? Raise up or not? Reed Detmers. Huh? Who in the heck is that? Huh? What?
How about no?
I don't even know who the guy is. And of course, the pitcher gives everything he can, gives all the problems to the Rays hitters with a no-hitter, a 12-0 shellacking by the first place Anaheim Angels. Awesome. Is it Anaheim, Los Angeles? I don't know. The Rays had no idea how to hit anything last night at all. So that was disappointing. So I definitely want to hear from you. Tom Brady signs a new deal with Fox. People getting up in arms. Oh my gosh, Mike Florio saying, wait a minute. Do you expect him to go to Fox? He signed a contract. Wait a minute. He's still going to be the owner of the Dolphins. No, I don't think so. No, you're wrong. Take the L. Take the L, Florio. That's what you need to do. That's your new nickname. Take the L, Florio. Tell you what, let's go out to the comments and then we'll get out to the legend himself. Roger Shue says, what's up, home slice? What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Go Leafs, and you're starting off on the wrong foot. As always, you're making my nightmares come true.
Shut up!
Christopher Cole says, hey, Rolex reporter and everyone, let me fire the cannons for that. Roger Shue says, thank God Dynamite is on. How did you wear that in 7th grade and still fits you? I say, BS. I'll show you the picture. It was a big jacket. Signed by Paul Gruber, by the way, but I just made that up. Right? I just made it up. I mean, the facts are all there. It's kind of what I encountered today and I'll get back to that in just a little bit. About the whole trying to find an apartment and somebody calling me, my mom, and somebody else a liar. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. So, but yeah, I'm a liar because Paul Gruber signed that. I wore it in 7th grade. I just made it up, right? Just made it up. TJ Reeves says, where's the Bucko Bruce windbreaker? Old school. Love it. Fire the cannons for that. Christopher Cole, Lightning started out fast but fizzled out. Yes, and you kind of wonder, are the Maple Leafs a better team at this point? I'm not ready to rule them out, but who knows? We'll talk to the legend himself, Leo Haggerty, here in just a little bit. I know he's right there. Nee says, I'm your biggest fan. Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I see Leo right there. Roger Shu says, bye-bye Bolts in the first round. I told you so. I'm a hockey god. You're a hockey nothing. You're a god of nothing.
Shut up!
Too many men on the ice penalties is no excuse. Tampa Bay sports just stinks. Consequently, if Tampa Bay sports stinks, what's that make Chicago sports? Just saying. Ouch. I mean, again, Roger, if you're in the mood tonight to be the tribal troll, get ready because I'm about to bury you under the bridge where you belong. Okay? Angels and Joe Madden, yes, absolutely. Bears, not relevant, sorry. Blackhawks, terrible organization. Bulls, somewhat relevant, but you look, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Phil Jackson aren't coming to the door. I'm sorry. I mean, if you guys want to, if this guy right here, Roger Shu, wants to, play games and stuff, we'll go ahead and play games tonight. I love to play games. Let's play some games. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. All right, let's get out to the guy right here waiting so patiently in the background as he was talking to me off air. Was this one of the worst nights in Tampa Bay professional sports? We'll ask him right here. Here we go. All right, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. I think he fell asleep after that monologue. But listen, I had to get it in.
Oh, hey, I'm here.
There you go. I had to get it in here because I had a lot on my mind, especially after the Lightning. And you're feeling so good about this, Leo. They come out. It looks very, very similar to the 7-3 victory over the Maple Leafs. And then after that, the wheels just come off. Welcome to the evolution, legend.
Well, thank you, Peter. I appreciate the time being on with the hardest working sports media member in Tampa Bay.
Thank you.
Peter, let's look at this, okay? One thing we need to understand is that the Lightning have played more hockey than any team in the league in the last 2 years. They are like 40-some games over everybody else. Are they physically tired? Possibly. Are they mentally tired? Yeah, maybe. They because it's been such a compressed season. Yeah, I know they only played 56 games, but this is the first time they played 82 and a playoff. Plus, you throw that in. And again, let's give credit to Toronto. This is a good team. It's not just, it's not chopped liver. Right. But let's examine what happened. Okay, Lightning go up 2-0. Great. Right. All of a sudden, Jack Campbell, instead of, throwing in the towel like he did in game 4, he decided, okay, I'm going to make some saves. And he did. And the turning point of the game, in my opinion, was when the Lightning go on the power play and Steven Stamkos gets called for high sticking 10 seconds into the power play, announced 4-on-4. Toronto scores twice. But here's what people didn't realize. Stamkos was complaining to the official that, hey, the guy got his stick under mine and shoved mine up into him. Well, Bobby the Chief Taylor said that's a lazy man's penalty. He should be controlling his stick, and that was the problem. He was not controlling his stick, and that whole dynamic changed right after that. And again, the fourth goal, the winning goal by Matthews. The Lightning did everything right. McDonough's bringing it up the wing. He gets to the red line, and he's going to shoot it in. And it hits somebody, and he gets hit, and it pops back out to center ice, and here comes the Leafs 2-on-1.
Yep.
Well, Chernak does the right thing. He goes down and stops the pass. The problem was the rebound. He was in no condition to take care of that rebound. So what happens? It goes right to Matthews. He's got an open net. 4-3, Toronto wins. But I'll tell you what, Peter, I don't know if you saw the question I asked today of Pat Maroon.
Okay.
And this is a classic. I go, Pat, Toronto has a history of having trouble winning game sevens. Do you expect them to come out at you hard tomorrow night? His answer was, what do you think? And I said, I think they're going to come after you guys with a vengeance. He said, yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. We have to answer their intensity early. Peter, that game's going to be won or lost in the first 10 minutes. And
Yeah,
again,
I agree.
Yeah. So, again, I don't think you'll see. And again, last night was the hockey gods. You know, sometimes they get you, sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. And that was what was happening last night. You know, the puck bounce. And let's give Austin Matthews some credit. Man, that guy can skate. And when he saw, it was like a shark going after a wounded fish. I mean, boom, he was down. And, he gets a game winner. So, I don't know about you, Peter, but if I'm going to play game 6 in an elimination game, you want anybody in 88 in the net? Not me. I like that guy.
Absolutely. We got a little bit of static on your line there. Can you go ahead and check that out? Let me go ahead and take you out really quick because you got some static. I don't know what's going on. Can you fix your headphones or come back in? Try. I don't know what's going on here.
I'll come back in.
Yeah, the shot looks great. I mean, the shot absolutely looks great. But sometimes it happens. That's what happens with a live show sometimes. Technology doesn't necessarily always work out. Just like the results last night didn't necessarily work out. Because according to the Lightning insider, Eric Erlandson, the Lightning, after leading the first period this year, 33-1-4. Now 33-2-4. So, disappointing. Definitely disappointing. And again, the errors, they added up. They mounted up. I'll go out to the comments here. We'll get back Leo, hopefully, with his earpiece fixed. Let's go out here. Absolutely. You're welcome. Let's see. Bad connection with Leo again. Troy, shut up. There's always a bad connection with you.
Shut up!
All right, let's try Leo again. Leo, you there?
Any better, Peter?
Absolutely fantastic, my friend. You see, that's what happens. You don't panic. Like, Roger Shue goes, oh my God, we got static on the line. We got to panic. No, professionals don't panic. They just run with it. Let's go back to it. Of course, we talked about the turnovers, and also the thing that just was mind-numbing at that point was the too many men on the ice, and that happened twice. It's happened 3 in this series. I mean, what do you make of it? Is it preparation by this coaching staff? Is it, being mentally tired or wore down by this team? I mean, what is it with this Tampa Bay Lightning team?
Well, you know what, Peter? Like I said, they played so much hockey that they may be a little bit punch drunk.
Yeah.
And again, unless you've done this on a professional level, you have no idea. I can't even comprehend what it's done. I played college football, and so I'm aware of what that is. It's exponentially, there's your SAT word of the night.
Listen to you.
It's exponentially harder to play at the professional level, especially hockey, Think about it now. They played 82 games. Now we're into coming up on game 6, so it's going to be 88. That's a lot of hockey to play, especially, Peter, when you had a condensed schedule 2 years ago, and now you had a really condensed second half because they took that time off for the Olympics that they couldn't go to.
Sure.
And Peter, real quick, let's go away from the Lightning.
Sure.
How about Barry Trotz getting fired?
Right.
What the heck's going on with the Islanders? I mean, they had to play the first 13 on the road. They had a COVID outbreak that was just absurd. And they had to play 50 games in 99 days.
Right.
Think about that. That's crazy. And why don't they play games back-to-back in the Stanley Cup playoffs? Because they don't want that. They're going to give – if you're going east to west, like let's say Tampa Bay has to play Colorado or they have to play Los Angeles, there'll be 2 days travel time. That's for sure. And, Peter, I think I saw the Maple Leafs coming into Tampa tonight. I was out on the bike, and I looked up, and there's Air Canada coming in about 5:50. So they're in town.
What do you make of this team tomorrow night? I mean, their chances very good at Amalie Arena, but of course, you got to win one game in order to force Game 7. And at that point, I think all the pressure is on Toronto to close it out at home. Of course, it's going to be a tough atmosphere. But tomorrow night, I mean, how do you look at the Lightning? Can they do it? They've been there before. They've been in these type of situations before. They have the leadership. Can they come out, have a great start, and continue? Because I go back to these Stamkos comments. It's a 60-minute game, right? So in order to win at this time of the year, you have to play a full game. Unfortunately, we didn't. We played a hell of a first 15 minutes of the first period. We just couldn't replicate the rest of the game.
Well, Peter, I'll tell you what. John Cooper got asked a lot of questions today on Toronto's inability to close out a series. If the Lightning win Game 6, which I totally expect them to do, because, Peter, I think we're talking about a team that's 17-0 following a playoff loss.
Correct.
If that happens, every question of the Toronto team is going to be, is this another year of failure? Is this another year where you can't close it out? All of a sudden, Peter, it's not pressure. It's immense. It's monstrous pressure on Toronto. They want to finish this off. They do not want it to go to 7 games because they have – and, you know, Cooper, he avoided it very well. He said, hey, what happened in the past, this is a different team. Oh, but guess what? He knows in the back of his mind, I want to get this to Game 7 because those guys want no parts of it.
Well, it didn't look like the Rays wanted any part of hitting, but I mean, we talked about it. I mean, was this one of the worst nights in Tampa Bay sports history with not only the Lightning losing a crucial game there, but also the Rays getting no hit by the Angels 12-0, which, by the way, Joe Madden has them in first place in the AL West. I get it. It's early in the season, but who the hell is this pitcher? Reed Detmers? I mean, wow. Make some sense of that.
Peter, I can't. And that's the thing. And you know what, Peter? We are going to – seeing a no-hitter by one pitcher now, it's going to be a rarity because teams aren't going to let pitchers go 7, 8, 9. In fact, Kyle Hendricks went 8 2/3 for the Cubs the other night.
Wow.
116 pitches.
Right.
And Ross came out and got him with 2 outs in the ninth and said, hey, you got 116. Let's call it a day. And again, you're talking about guys that had no spring training and that. And I'm going to go back to the Mets. And, you know, Rob Creech's beloved Mets. They, up until this year when they had, I think, the team no-hitter of at least 4, maybe 5 guys. And their only no-hitter, and you're talking about a team with Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman, Nolan Ryan. The only no-hitter they had was by Santana. Peter, he throws 157 pitches, and he was never right after that. And that's amazing. And again, I don't know if I could go out and take the ball from somebody with a no-hit. That's just me. I mean, like I wouldn't have gone out and taken Blake Snell out. I don't care what the cybermetrics were on that. he had it, and it's hard to do because the guy wants to no hitters or something. As Warren Sapp said when I asked him, what would it be like for you to win the Super Bowl? He said, immortality. That's what a no-hitter is. You're an immortality.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows if this kid will ever get the opportunity. But of course, the Rays have always had trouble with pitchers they haven't been able to see. And they have plenty of hitters littered throughout this lineup that are hitting under the Mendoza line. So they're going to have to turn it around. Now, with that being said, the big news yesterday, Tom Brady signs a 10-year, $375 million contract with Fox to be their lead analyst. And he is actually in his 23rd season, 22 seasons, he made just shy of $300 million. So it's not like he's going out as a poor man. I mean, what are your thoughts of Brady being a top analyst? Can he duplicate or replicate, if you will, Tony Romo's success, Troy Aikman's success? I mean, great move by Fox. And then, of course, you got Mike Florio taking the L, once again saying, if you think he's going to go to Fox after signing a contract and not be the Dolphins owner, I don't know what Florio is on at this point, but make some sense of this big-time contract that Brady signed yesterday.
Peter, the interesting thing about that contract is it says when he retires.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say next year.
Right. We assume, though, don't we? That this is last year?
Peter, you know what assume is? It makes an ass out of you and me.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, I don't think Florio's right, but I think he's not wrong either. I think Tom Brady's going to play another year, but not in Tampa. I think this is his last shot to go out, and then he's going to make it. He's going to be a free agent to go where he wants to go, do what he wants to do. I think that's a Fifth Dimension song from way before your time.
Yes.
But I'm hearing you hammering Hall and Oates, so I don't want to go into that either. But I think Tom Brady will be an excellent analyst if he can do one thing, and this is the hardest thing for former players to do.
Right.
To criticize other players that are playing now, because it doesn't sit real well with you. I remember when Nikovich came out and said, Brady's not getting coached down there, and one of the media members, who will remain nameless, she asked that question, Tom Brady. He answered it quickly and said, "Have a nice day, guys." Walks off. And was not happy. Peter, where there's smoke, there's fire. I still think there is a Miami connection. I think there may be a San Francisco connection because he gets to go back to his roots. I think this is the last hurrah in Tampa, which is fine. But I think he will entertain some offers to play one more year. That's it. I don't think he's going to go past that. And then here's the worst thing, Peter. He's still going to be not the breadwinner in the family, because I think Giselle's getting $50 million a year. So that's a nice deal for him. But Peter, and again, this pains me as an Eagles fan to say that two Cowboys, Troy Aikman and Tony Romo, are the best at taking the game, telling people what they're seeing in a manner that they can understand. Example, they're not going to sit there and say, oh, that linebacker just ran a buzz technique, so that took away the short slant. The quarterback had to go to his second progression. People don't understand that. If Tom Brady can relate what he sees to language that people understand, we're talking about the greatest pre-snap read quarterback ever to play the game. And I can remember BA on numerous occasions last year, a plethora of times, another ACT word. He comes out and says, when Tom figures you out, it's over. Always remember that, because he'll sit there and he'll have teams figured out, because he'll be watching tape all week to work a 4-hour game. He'll be. I think he'll do a great job.
I think he'll do a great job too. And I remember interviewing Tony Dungy a long time ago, and he said the most difficult thing when he became an analyst was to And this is what the network told him to do, was dumb it down for them because he wanted to go with the X's and O's. And honestly, as a football fan, I would rather go X and O's because I kind of learn more instead of just dumbing it down. We're on with the legend here.
Peter, can I give you an example of that?
Sure.
Tony Dungy, after a practice,
sure,
he had Christie, who was a center, on the field goal extra point team. He was the wing blocker. So he was eligible for receiving. So they ran a play where they simulated a fumble and went out, threw the ball, everything. So after practice, I asked Dungy, I said, hey, coach, you okay with Christie out there if there's a fire? And he said, oh, yeah, no problem. He was a fullback in college and that. And our good friend Roy Cummings came up to me. And I'll tell you what, I give Roy a lot of credit.
Right.
He comes up and goes, hey, Leo, what the hell's a fire? And I said, that's the call you make. And not a lot of people knew this.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, there were nobody in the media that knew it. And Roy, I give him a lot of credit. He came up, and this is when Roy and I became really good friends. He came up and asked me that, and I said, Roy, that's the call they make when there's a fumble or where there's a bad snap. And when they hear fire, they go to specific spots. The two end guys on the line and the two wide receivers, the personal protectors on the side. So, yeah, it's if Brady can, well, not necessarily dumb it down, but if he can speak the language that people understand, that'll be huge.
All right. You were in the press conference yesterday. Some things that came out that were very interesting and very telling. And to me, look, where there's smoke, there's fire, if you will, right? And all we heard throughout the offseason was how the Bucs were after other quarterbacks, potentially a Deshaun Watson. And now you hear Clyde Christensen say yesterday about Kyle Trask. I don't see him competing with Blaine Gabbert for the backup job this year. He could do it, just all the odds are stacked against you. You can't rep everybody. It's hard to get Gabbert enough reps, so we'll prepare Gabbert as the number 2. Byron Leftwich goes on to say, we like where Kyle's at. We just haven't seen it. None of us have seen it. The only thing we got is preseason reps. I think he's gotten drastically better from the last time he stepped on the grass. We just got to see it, and he hasn't had the opportunity to actually be on the grass and playing. And then once again, we're going to put a priority on getting him reps and seeing what he's like. It's just hard to judge anyone until you get quality reps against the defense. So that's one of our goals in this camp. We got 3 other veteran guys who really don't need a ton of it. So we're going to give him a bunch of reps and get a good look at him. I mean, what do you make of this? This is not something that a lot of Bucs fans wanted to see. I get it. You don't want to talk about backup quarterbacks because you have Tom Brady, but for Christensen to come out and say, look, he's not going to compete with Blaine Gabbert at this point, who, by the way, his record is 13-35 in the National Football League, is kind of troubling and kind of makes you think that the Bucs may be on another quarterback trail in 2023. Your thoughts?
Peter, I don't necessarily think so, because remember, and again, I'm not putting Kyle Trask in the Aaron Rodgers category. Aaron Rodgers sat 2-3 years.
Right.
Didn't see the field. And again, when you are practicing for a game, 100% of the snaps, 90% goes to the starter, 10% goes to the backup, and the third and fourth quarterback, they ain't seeing anything.
Right.
That's just the way of the world and the way of the NFL and the way of football at every level. Your job is to prepare the 11 guys that are going to play, and you want to get some capable backups, some sort of practice look. And I agree wholeheartedly with Christensen. There's no reps.
Right.
They're going to try to get him stuff now in the mini camp just to see, what they got and everything. They'll probably see him going a lot against the ones on defense just to give him an idea of what's happening and what's going on. But Peter, 2 words that scare the Bucs right now: Jordan Love. Boy, did he crash and burn in his one game.
Absolutely.
And again, he may be a good quarterback, a great quarterback down the road, but he's not ready. Look at the guy out in San Francisco. He's not ready. Do you think Trask is ready in case Brady goes down? Peter, no, hell no. That's not the way you want to go. I think this team, if Gabbard has to play, they can still win 8, maybe 9 games. If he has to play a lot, they're just still there. So it's you got to prepare the guy who's going to get you there. And again, I thought Gilbert's comment was even better. That we got to teach these guys to pass block because we can't let them get to town. That's the bottom line. Can't get to town.
Right. And you heard also from Leftwich yesterday talking about, the calling of plays, how he's still going to be aggressive. And what do you make of it? He also, commented about, Bruce coming in there with the red pen and all this other stuff. I mean, some of this stuff is kind of, manufactured stuff to, get clicks on stories. But at the end of the day, I mean, do you think this offense is going to be any different, or is it going to be as aggressive or even more aggressive, which means predominantly more passing than running at this juncture?
Peter, I don't think it's going to change. I think it's going to be maybe 55-45 pass or 60-40 pass because that's what they do well. I mean, you got a healthy Chris Godwin, you got Evans, you got Gronk. Hey, I'm throwing the ball. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. Plus, Fournette has turned into a very capable receiver. So that's another thing. And again, Peter, I know you heard the commentary with the running backs coach saying, hey, Tom and Lenny have a great combination. They work well together. And it was interesting. He said, Lenny will go out there and he'll see that the linebacker has flown out and done a buzz technique and he'll just hook up. He said, sometimes that gets Lenny in trouble because he's going to a place that someone else is coming to. But Peter, I like what they're going to do, but I'm going to ask you a question. Here's the over-under.
Sure.
Chris Godwin, does he play before or after Thanksgiving, his first game?
I don't know. I honestly don't know at this juncture. And I still think, even though they got a lot of wide receivers in that room and they're talking it up, I still think Tom is going to try to convince this organization to go after a veteran presence like a Jarvis Landry or Julio Jones. I do. And that's why I think there was also a possibility at 27 for them to look at a wide receiver, which I was really surprised they didn't draft. But I still think there is a distinct possibility they go out and get a wide receiver simply because of what you said. You're not sure about Chris Godwin. I get it. You have Mike Evans and Cyril Grayson and Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson and Jalen Darden, but those are names that, nobody's writing home about at the end of the day. And I get it, Russell Gage. I don't know if you go with that. I think you still have to go and address that position in free agency. Your thoughts?
Peter, if Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, if they're still sitting out there and Julio Jones, I got a feeling they're going to, and again, I brought up the fact to Byron Leftwich. I said, Jonathan Isaac, he's gone 2 years not playing for the Orlando Magic. Yeah. I said, the one thing, you break an arm, you break a leg, 6 to 8 weeks. Great. Boom. Got it. You tear an ACL or an MCL, now it's guesswork. Some guys are back in 6 to 9 months. Some guys, it's a full year. And if it's a full year, you're looking at the end of November, beginning of December for Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the schedule is going to be tough. Of course, we're going to have a schedule revealed tomorrow night. We'll see if we're going to be on here. No promises at this point because honestly, and I know Troy's making a joke out of it, I've just been beaten down by this whole process of trying to find a place to live. And I know it's crazy to say that, but I really have. Let me see here. I think we got somebody calling. Welcome to the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
If somebody wanted to offer you an apartment, Peter.
Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec here. Stand by. Hold on. All right. I don't know who this is, but this is definitely a telemarketer, I think, at this point. So, yeah. All right.
Put them on. We'll ask.
Right. Let me finish up because all they've been doing is calling at this point, and I think we lost Leo there. So, yeah. So we'll get back to Leo in a moment. We'll finish off because I got one more final question for him. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break really quick. Let me hook up my phone line because I thought it was hooked up, but it's not, here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television live on the Hub, Amped Up Sports, and I Love St. Pete. Here we go. BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football, but of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. Stand by, Curtis. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
All right, welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get this guy on Powers on Sports Podcast, my tag team partner in the world here. Let's go out to Mr. Jason Powers, and then let's go out to the return of Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Welcome to the Evolution, gentlemen. And we also got a call here from Mr. Curtis. Curtis, welcome to the Sports Web. What do you have to say to our analyst here?
What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well, first of all. Let's say that.
Absolutely, guys. Welcome to the Evolution. Yes.
Peter moving sucks. Trust me, I understand how you feel, brother.
Yes, absolutely, it does. And I'll talk about it at more. I'll be expounding on that more later on this show. So what do you have to say here to Jason and Tampa Bay Ray, the return of Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay?
Well, I have a couple things to say. I've been watching you and Leo talk, and, I've ate too much dinner, so whatever.
Okay, okay.
But the Lightning, I'm going to tell you something, man. These guys, like Leo said, have played a lot of hockey in the last 2 years.
Sure.
A lot of hockey. But you can never what's the word I'm looking for? You can never count out championship pedigree.
No, you can't. You're exactly right.
These guys have championship pedigree. And, I mean, if you look at it, and, I'm not trying to compare, but if you look at it's like the Bucks game when we played the Rams last year, everybody thought we was out of it before halftime. And then we came out of half and we came roaring back, and, we lost, but it was a better game than everybody thought it was.
Sure.
At the end of the game.
Sure.
And with the Lightning, these guys know how to win. Okay. They know how to win. And mistakes happen. But my opinion is these guys are going to go out here tomorrow. They're going to wrap up.
Okay.
They're going to go out there and they're going to play their asses off.
Okay.
They're going to bust the Maple Leafs ass, and then we're going back to Toronto.
I like it. I like it, Curtis. I tell you what, let's go out to Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast here. Your thoughts on the Lightning's loss the other night, and how do you feel about Game 6 at Amalie Arena? Welcome to the Evolution.
Pete, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm just watching the end of this Milwaukee Celtics game, a classic Game 5.
Same thing I'm watching right now.
And I don't know what Ray's watching in the background, but whatever it is, it sounds like you're what are you doing out there? Ray's, it seems like he's outside. Good stuff. All right, Jason. So go ahead and talk about the Lightning really quick. We'll get into the Bucks in just a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Lightning. What's disheartening is that when you get a 2-goal lead on the road, those are leads you can't blow. I know it was early in the game, only after a period, but the one thing that you see with the Lightning, I think this year as compared to the last couple years, is the defensive ability to lock down has been diminished a little bit. Still got great offensive players, but their inability on the back end to lock down on defense. And Vasilevsky's been good, but not great in these playoffs so far. And that's the part that, the last 2 years has been the difference. Is Vasilevsky has been great, but like Curtis said, I fully expect the Lightning to win a Game 6 in Tampa tomorrow night, Thursday night. And then she's going to set up a classic Game 7 back in Toronto, where all the pressure will be on the Maple Leafs due to their playoff inability to advance in the playoffs in recent years. So you got to take care of business though tomorrow night. Stay out of the penalty box, play 5-on-5. That's where you really had the advantage over Toronto.
I agree. Let's go out to Tampa Bay. Ray, we'll get back to you in a moment. Curtis, Tampa Bay Ray, your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Lightning and their chances to extend this series tomorrow night from Amalie Arena?
Brother, first, thanks for having me, but Jason's spot on. And I'll tell you what it is that this team's playing on their third championship or, going for their third championship consecutive. And you see it with the younger team, the speed. And so even though the Lightning has that championship anticipation, you can see that they're not able to get back. And so they're really vulnerable to the breakaways or the 2-on-1s, because even though they still have that phenomenal skill and they've been playing together and they've got that, been doing it and they understand and know each other. And they added a few pieces here late this year just to kind of, put a little new blood in there. But yeah, the speed is definitely getting them. But that being said, this is still a championship caliber team. So yeah, tomorrow night's a big night, but we go to a game 7. I'll tell you what, guys, it's going to be, even including the last 2 seasons with the Stanley Cups, taking to a game 7 in Toronto here in the first round of these 2022 playoffs. It's going to be quite an exciting game.
And I tell you right now, if I have to hear once again, Hall & Oates, you're making my dreams come true, I'm going to blow my brains out. With that being said, Curtis, your thoughts really quick, and then we'll get you out of here on this. Your thoughts on Tom Brady and that 10-year, $375 million contract from Fox Sports.
Well, speaking of that real quick, can Tom Brady let me borrow $100 or something?
I'm telling you, I'll take a quarter of it, Tom. Invested in the Bank of Peter, where
absolutely.
Yes.
But
yes.
Going back to these, the Lightning, man, usually when you win a championship, you come out the next year and, like everybody says, you're going to have a target on your back.
Sure.
These guys went back to back.
Yep.
They're going to get everybody's best shot.
Yep.
Every night.
Yep.
And when you make it to the playoffs and you're the 2-time defending champion, everybody's going to give you their best or even harder. You know what I'm saying? If Toronto beats, God forbid Toronto beats the Lightning, they're going to feel like they already won the championship. They haven't won the championship, but they're like, hey, we beat the 2-time defending champs. We got, we've proven this, but you haven't proven anything because it's just the first round. And it's going to be a great game 6, which I'm fully expecting the Lightning to go on and finish them off in Toronto and break Toronto's hearts again, and they can wait another 50 years to win or whatever. But that's their problem.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes.
Like I said,
yes.
I understand that they're younger, they got the speed, but we all have seen and been watching sports for years.
Sure.
Yeah, youth is really good, but experience usually beats youth.
That's it. And again, though, you can't have those mental mistakes like the Lightning had last night and throughout this series. So we'll see how it plays out. Curtis, thanks a lot for the call. Use that second call if you like here on the Evolution. All right, my friend? Good to hear from you again. Good stuff there from Curtis. Let's get out to Jason. Let's go ahead and start it out. You had a great question on Twitter yesterday. Can you go ahead and expound on that a little bit here on the sports web?
No doubt. I think something really to be aware of if you're, a viewer of sports television with this huge Tom Brady deal. And I threw this out on Twitter yesterday before I even saw it. I saw it later in the day on Pro Football Talk, but I'd already offered up this suggestion on Twitter before that. If the Bucs lose in the wild card or divisional round, guess who has the Super Bowl this year? Fox. Don't be surprised if Tom Brady joins Burkhardt and Greg Olsen in the booth to be part of the Super Bowl announcing team for Super Bowl this year's Super Bowl if the Bucs lose in the divisional round or sooner. Would not be surprised.
Well, to that, I would say that I think Tom Brady is on a mission. Of course, it's unfinished business.
I agree.
And I expect the Bucs to win the Super Bowl this year. Just saying. But Tampa Bay Ray, it is an interesting question brought up by Mr. Powers here. The Power Man Powers on Sports
It'd be a great way for Fox to introduce Tom Brady is at the Super Bowl.
Oh, and then kick it up a notch even. Let it be the team that's in that Super Bowl or the divisional playoffs or whatever. Let it be the team that knocked the Buccaneers out. So the narrative's already there. The drama's thick. And then, of course, Tom will have been practicing like I know he's going to do. He's already the best breaker down of film and probably in the history of the entire sport, the way that cat loves to sit on his iPad or whatever he can get his hands on. But yeah, Jason, no, 100%. I saw your question on Twitter, and I thought what a fantastic thing to look at it like that, because if it is the team that knocked him out, regardless, what a great way to intro him. And guys, Fox won the presser narrative yesterday, just dropping that. But I can't believe $35 million a year, doubling what Troy Aikman just signed for. That's the incredible thing.
I mean, guys, and Jason, do you think that he can be as good or better than Romo and Aikman?
Who knows? That's the one thing that we'll never know till he actually does it, because, rewind 25, 30 years ago, we all thought Joe Montana would be a great analyst. And he ended up not being very good. Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, guys that we all thought had some personality and could possibly do this job well, haven't been very good. Usually, it's the guys that don't have the big careers that are really good analysts. It's actually a rarity here recently that, Aikman and Romo have done well, because Chris Collinsworth has been a great broadcaster, didn't have a great career. John Madden was a good coach, not an all-timer kind of coach, but great career. But a lot of these analysts that are really good are guys that haven't had unbelievable Hall of Fame careers. And even in other sports, Magic Johnson was not very good as being an analyst in basketball.
No.
You never heard from Michael Jordan. So it's usually the guys that were ex-players but weren't the Hall of Fame kind of players that turn out to be the great analysts.
Yeah, good point. And I'll tell you what, they said that, you've seen it in the last couple of years, especially, even before he left New England, but especially since he got to Tampa Bay, and we've seen the man in the arena, and we've seen all the things that Tom's working on through his production company. He's gotten where he can self-efface himself. He can laugh at himself a bit. And that's a side of Tom Brady we kind of knew existed, but never saw in public. And from that standpoint alone, it kind of poses that he's got that character that, he can get in the booth. He can self-deprecate a little bit. He can mix it up a little. But yeah, you're right, Jason, until you get in there, until you get in that fire and you really see what he's got. And that's what I would wonder. I'd like to know, if I was a fly on the wall, did they actually test him already, or are they just, taking a nice big gamble on just signing a GOAT and winning it from that standpoint? Or you'd have to imagine, though, Jason, he's tested already at least somewhat there, no?
Here's what I think will probably happen. I think you'll see this summer, it probably won't get advertised or leaked out, but I bet Tom Brady will spend a day or two in California with Burkhardt. They'll do a game. They'll do a little test run to do a game. I don't think he would do a game during his bye week this year, because you've seen some other guys during their bye weeks in previous years do a game. I don't think Fox is gonna introduce him like that. But it would not surprise me if this summer, in a little studio in California or wherever Tom wants to meet, Burkhardt and he go do a game, an old game, just to see how the rhythm goes and just to see if Tom really wants to do this long term. It wouldn't shock me if he doesn't fulfill 10 years on this contract. I'm sure there's an out clause for both sides. If after 4 or 5 years, it's either not going great or whatever, that these guys can get out of this contract. So maybe not, though.
So we gotta believe here, fellas, and we're on with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast, and of course, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. I'm your host, Peter Blake, live on the Sports Web on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. For me, do we believe that Brady, this is his last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? He's not going to the Miami Dolphins like Florio taking the L is suggesting on Twitter there, Jason?
I'd have a hard time believing he's going to be a minority owner with the Dolphins and then be doing the Fox gig. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the NFL rules allow for that kind of stuff. But, who knows? Is Tom going to play 1 more year, 2 more years? I think part of it's going to be how this year goes. If he's still playing great and the Bucs make a deep run, maybe get to the Super Bowl, I could see him playing another year. But if he plays good, not great, and the Bucs flame out in the wild card of the divisional round, he may say that's enough and go to the studio, go to the booth.
I tell you what, the fact that Fox in their meeting this week or yesterday they announced this, it actually gave me pause to think that this could be the reason why, exactly like you said, Jason, that he gets closer. How this year goes, it's a tough schedule. It's going to be a great year, but now that the inevitable, the unanswered question or the uncovered integer, what will he do after he's done playing football? He knows the transition he'll be making, and it may even give him more time to continue to work on it. So, announcing the signing this week, or at least Fox announcing that he's going to be their number one analyst, it makes me start to believe that there is a path to a narrative that, yeah, he could 100% play another year. But before this was announced, I thought, well, we saw how he almost walked into that sunset this year, and I thought that because that's really what it is. I'm coming myself up on 31 years with the city, and I'm looking toward that retirement, and I know I'm ready to get there and move to the next phase of my life. I just don't know exactly what it holds, and that's the question that scares us a little bit. And when you've already got the answer to that question, now all of a sudden you feel like you've got alternatives, or you've got different ways to go.
Yeah, you absolutely got different ways to go. Yeah, Jason, go.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
So that whole narrative that Tom Brady wanted to spend more time with his family, he's got his son's getting to be a high school kid, his daughter's getting older. I guess that's kind of out the window now that he's committing himself to 20 weekends a year. So he's not going to be able to see if his son plays football in high school. Not going to be able to see his son play high school football, most likely. That kind of stuff. The whole weekend thing with the kids, it's kind of a moot point now that he's committed to 20 more weekends a year.
Look, we thought, at the end of the day, look, he definitely wants to be a better father, but he cannot stay away from football. And I think his biggest advantage is not only his knowledge, but also, like Tampa Bay Ray mentioned, his self-deprecating humor, which has worked for Peyton Manning and, of course, the Manning cast there with Eli. Right. I think there's more of a ratings opportunity there. I think it's been kind of disappointing if you're looking at ESPN's network with Manning. I think is the guy that you're definitely going to put all your eggs in one basket. But Ray, you wanted to say something?
Well, I thought about this. When I first heard the announcement, I thought the same thing that we were just saying there. What happened to the wanting to see Jack play high school football, or giving back to the family? Giselle, put 22 years. Giselle's made the sacrifice now. But then I realized, he's not going to replace Madden from the standpoint of Madden, the game became as iconic and larger even so than the Madden coach and analyst himself. But really, guys, if Tom was to walk off after that, let's say Tom wins another Super Bowl and walks off at the top, which he already exists. Brilliant. How long does it take for the TB12 brand to kind of start fading away a little bit? We know he's there. We know when Joe Montana walked away, he was out there somewhere living and doing great and making appearances. We'd see him at Canton every couple of years, or see him at a basketball game sitting courtside. But now you sign 10 years as a lead analyst on Fox and you're successful. You just took that $1 billion TB12 brand. And like I said, I'm not comparing it to a Madden, but that's one of the reasons why John Madden became even bigger than the man in the name himself, was because he owned everything. And I think that that's one of the things that Tom's thinking. He moves into the net analyst, loves doing it, still gets to be in the game, and he still keeps that brand out front. I think that was a big decision and maybe what he was thinking here.
And absolutely, to your point, Jason, I get what you're saying. But, being a broadcaster, yes, you have to devote some time to it, but not as much as being a professional football player, and even somewhat to an owner to a certain degree. So I think it's the best of both worlds. With that being said, what do we make of Kyle Trask's world after the comments from Clyde Christensen, of course, Byron Leftwich? I mean, to me, he's not competing with Blaine Gabbert for the backup job. What am I missing here, guys? He's a second-round pick out of Florida. What do you make of this, Powers?
I mean, one of two things. Either they love Blaine Gabbert and they just don't want to even broach that topic, or two, Kyle Trask might not be ready. Of course, you're never going to hear the coach during a season say he's not progressing well, he's not doing well. They're going to be very neutral about what they say or say nothing. So maybe he's not, the physical prospect that they think he is. And again, and maybe there's, again, do you want to put the pressure on Trask? I don't know, but they must really like Blaine Gabbert, and they really don't want to. I don't think there was ever a doubt that they were going to get rid of Blaine Gabbert, even if I don't think Blaine Gabbert was going to be on the roster if he was going to be the number 3 quarterback. That's the thing. You can stash Kyle Trask, nobody's going to say a word. Sure. But if Gabbert's the number 3 quarterback, that's going to ruffle some people in the locker room, I think, and maybe even Tom Brady.
Well, when the rumors came out, Tampa Bay Ray, that the Bucs were in pursuit of a Deshaun Watson and other quarterbacks, to me, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not sure if they have this confidence in Kyle Trask. And to be fair, a lot of fans out there would say, look, the Bucs may have wasted a second-round pick at this point on a Trask because he's not ready to start. Where do you stand on it?
Feel the same way. It took Tom Brady till week 12, and even then in 2020 to get the grasp of this offense. And we're talking about Tom Brady. We're talking about, I'm just saying, Deshaun Watson, a phenomenal athlete that he is, but still with the 22 open litigation things going on, we won't go there. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about good, because you think, well, we got a team that's ready to go. We got all the pieces in place. And I think we all agree they've got pieces in place at almost every position and need a little depth at others. But when you go out for Deshaun, and of course that was just a rumor, but then he ends up dropping and they got Blaine back. I just don't like it, Pete and Austin, guys. I just don't like it because I'm not, even if I got a freshman coming into my college, I'm a college coach, I'm not announcing before he even gets to spring football that he's redshirting. I want this kid, I want to see I want to see his nuts and bolts. I just said I want to see his nuts and bolts.
Wait a minute.
I deserve that.
I knew you would do that. I knew you would. It would be
I
you.
bring the nonsense, people. I didn't like it. Of course, Blaine's got this system down. He's played 73 years in it. He knows the terminology. He looked good in 2019 till he broke his collarbone against the Dolphins in the preseason. The thing is that I just don't know that when they announce before they even get to camp that, of course, Kyle's not going to be our second stringer. That does start to raise some flags for me, and I definitely want to see a little more investigation there.
But Peter, let me add this though.
Yes.
Honestly, from the franchise's perspective, this year where again you're all in. If Tom Brady was going to be out 3 weeks for whatever reason, an injury, we as Buccaneer fans, would you rather Blaine Gabbert be the guy or Kyle Trask for 3 weeks? I'll take Blaine Gabbert given his experience and given the football team that he's taken over, to be honest with you.
Well, to a certain degree, because he definitely knows the offense, and he's had many years in this BA offense, like 4 or 5. So they have lots of confidence. But once again, I get it. He's 13-35. He's had some bad teams, but you're right. But then again, to some of those Bucs fans that were saying we're screaming at the top of the rooftops, and I'm looking at you, Misador, out there with your show and screaming about the Bucs going and investing that second round pick in a Trask instead of possibly a corner or defensive tackle. It gives some credence to it. I tell you what, let's go out to some of these comments here. Brady's not committed to the Bucs. He keeps looking at other teams and making deals with sports networks behind the team's back. I doubt that. Once again, you're trolling.
Shut up!
Quit trolling me, Pete. Well, quit trolling me.
Shut up!
Leo played football. That he did. Troy Polamalu. Where's Harry and Big Mike? Harry on Friday night on 12:52 Chicago Sports. Say Big Mike 3 times. No. Roger Shue, no Harry tonight. You can see him Friday on 12:52. Christopher Cole. Hendricks could pitch 125 because he doesn't throw too hard. Troy again. Fox Sports sucks. That's his words, not mine, guys. I love Fox Sports. He figured out the Rams a little too late, but he figured them out. I think that's Ruth in the background. So hello, Ruth. Big Mike. Troy Polamalu, welcome to Tampa. Zion McCullum, our new corner. Bye-bye Bunting. We know you all hate Sean Murphy Bunting. Start Trask game 1. Play him a whole game. See what he's got. And, Roger, this is what you get for that. Evan Shear, Peter, your pinpoint questions are fantastic. You ask what every fan wants to know. Thank you very much. That's the reason why we call this the evolution. Let's go out to Roger Shue again. Godwin will never be the same. I hate to say it. It's me calling you. I am a telemarketer. Who cares? Do you have insurance currently? This is what I think about you. Christopher Cole. Let's see here. I shaved my head and my playoff beard to change the mojo. All right. Very cool. Very cool, Christopher. Roger Shue says Gertrude and Mildred and Agnes miss you. Call them tomorrow, please. And what I have to say to that is this.
Shut up!
Roger Shue says no Super Bowl this year, Bucks. Sorry. How about
no?
And Troy Polamalu, me, Peter, Harry, and Roger need to find a place together. And once again, how about this?
How about no?
All right. That being said, let's move on, gentlemen. Let's go on to the subject of Gronk and Sue coming back. There was a report last week from Greg Auman of The Athletic, who's pretty locked in with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, saying, kind of lukewarm with Sue, not sure yet. Of course, I heard Jason Light speaking about it. He's not ruling it out, but the Bucs did draft Logan Hall in the second round. So, Jason, where do we stand on this? Sue and then Gronk.
I think Sue, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's not till training camp, with Sue, because again, his wife just had he just had a couple young children. I'm sure he's the kind of guy he's notoriously been known to train on his own. So him not being with the team or at OTAs or minicamp not a big deal. I think Sue will only play for the Bucks or retire. As far as Gronk goes, you're going to see Gronk back in the fold here, whether it's this month, whether it's middle of June. You'll see Gronk at some point before the regular season. Remember, the Bucks opened up $9 million of salary cap space with Brady. Where do you think that $9 million is going to go? Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, I agree. Ray?
Yeah, I think the same thing. With Sue, would I like to see him in it? Do I think we need him inside there? I mean, is it always great to have your veteran leadership? It really depends on the kind of deal he's looking to get. If it's just another year staying in Tampa Bay and he's got to, maybe to get something. Other than that, though, you got the defense, you got Nunez Roches, you got the guys back. At some point, you got to start to realize, how many 5, 6, 4, 7 million, how many they could tie up for him. What's that going to do for some other pieces? They might still look to pick up something on the offensive line depth wise or make a change or move there. So, but as far as Gronk goes, I really thought after missing the 5 weeks last year with the punctured lung and then the back issues that forced him to initially retire 4 years ago, I thought maybe he'd gotten to a place, but then I saw some video of him after the Super Bowl party he had out there in Vegas, and he looks to be running around in really good shape and just missing camp entirely and just getting right in it. We know him and Tom are on the same page, but if I had to pick one of the two, I just think it's a greater chance that we've got Gronkowski back, but I could see a path to either one.
All right, what did you guys think about, speaking of path to the draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, starting off with Hall in the second round and then getting a running back, getting a guard? I mean, what were your thoughts on it?
Solid. I mean, they drafted for need, and there's no doubt they drafted, Logan Hall. I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but obviously he had a really good career at Houston. He fits a need on the interior. He'll probably be a rotational kind of guy. Him, Golston, Anthony Nelson, that they're all kind of similar guys. As far as the offensive lineman they drafted, again, more competition at the guard spot. I think whether it's at right guard with Stinney and who am I thinking of here? Stinney and Hainsey potentially.
Correct.
They're all going to compete there at the guard, and whoever the best man is going to win the job. He'll be a guy that you can develop for the next couple of years. Because remember, folks, when this run ends with Brady, there's going to be a lot of salary cap issues. There's going to be a lot of younger players playing that first year after Brady. So I think they're just prepping for that moment. Tight end, they had to draft a tight end. We talked about that, Peter and I, before the draft. They had to bring in another tight end. They did that. So that's a good move. And again, the punter is going to be a good move as well, because it's probably going to save, as long as he's adequate, he's probably going to beat out Pinion, because Pinion makes $4 or $5 million a year. You're going to save $3 or $4 million on the salary cap if Camargo can win the job. And Pinion did not have a great year last year anyway, especially kicking off.
I know you're a special teams guy because you used to be a former Florida State kicker right there, Mr. Jason Powers. In fact, if they don't know you, go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend.
Come on now.
Come on, do it.
I mean, I had my day. I was pretty good back in the day.
Listen, you got your day on the sports web. Look, no being humble here. Stop being humble. You're Jason Powers, the Powers man. Now come correct. Come strong to the mic. Now go ahead and introduce yourself.
I can't boast now. I'm not going to boast because I wasn't a
boast.
Okay, I will say this. I was a member of the first ever ACC championship team at Florida State back in 1992.
Nice.
Yep. I got an Orange Bowl ring. I got an ACC championship ring. I ended up finishing my career at UAB up in Birmingham, where I punted and kicked. Love Florida State. I wish I would have had a bit more of an opportunity to play there. The only reason I left was an opportunity to play. And, of course, subsequently, the next year after I leave, they win the national championship. That's okay.
Well, I'll tell you right now, that was definitely a boast that I wanted. Thanks a lot to the Power Man, my tag team partner of the world, as TJ Reeves sits back and laughs and is the Freddie Blassie of this combination, Pencil Neck Geeks. Let's go out to Tampa Bay. Ray, your thoughts on the Bucs draft?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's talk about Camarda, because, a lot of people, the first thing that they wanted to try to do the pieces back to Roberto Aguayo and to trade up and trying to address what was basically at that point felt like it was a voodoo position for the Bucs, trying to find a consistent kicker. This Camarda kid, I'll tell you one thing I can tell you about Georgia and winning that national championship in 2021. They did get the offense going here and there. It was a defensive-minded team, and you saw it reflected in the draft. There were a lot of games. There were a lot of drives where they did not advance or get the, what they needed to get. And Camarda came into the game and put them in and won the field position battle and put them in a position to be in and win that championship. So, the fact that they get that punter in fourth round, I did not think that was a waste at all. And I was wondering what you guys thought about that.
Well, I tell you right now, look, I think the writing is on the wall for Mr. Bradley Pinion. He was disappointing. And then on top of it, with his 2.9 cap hit, I think they're looking to move on. And I hate to say it, Tampa Bay Ray, I know you're a big fan of this kicker, but
I know.
I think Ryan Suckup, I think they could change the whole dynamic of this special teams unit because they were very disappointed. Jason, I know you got a couple minutes. Finish off with that and then go ahead and promote yourself.
No, I mean, again, I think they'll keep Suckup because I think, field goal wise, you want to have a veteran kicker again. The Bucs are going all in this year one more time. Punting, you can get away with a younger guy. The good thing is Camargo can kick off as well, which Suckup doesn't do well. So that's something that it'll be a natural replacement. Again, you're going to save probably $1.5 million, $2 million from salary cap perspective. If you're the Bucs, you got to find little ways that you can save money. Again, some of these roster spots in order to bring back a Sue. Even if you bring him back in training camp, he's not coming back to play for $2 million. You're going to have to pay him $6 or $7 million at least for Sue to come back and play. So you've got to find little ways to create some salary cap space. And this is just one of those little ways. And again, Camargo is a good athlete. He was a big baseball player in college. Did a real good job for Georgia. And I just think it's a good move for the future.
And I tell you right now, I like the second round being aggressive, getting a Gadecki. Possibly at the left guard, the glass eater, he says it himself, and then Rashard White, who's already come out and said he wants to start. Powers, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution, and then we will finish off with Tampa Bay Ray.
Yeah, Powers on Sports Podcast. Check it out. We put out a podcast every week. We'll have a podcast coming out tomorrow, Thursday, talking NBA playoffs, talking Lightning.
Playoffs?
Yeah, playoffs.
Playoffs.
And I'm going to break down Peter's move. What moving company did he use? How much did it cost? How much sweat equity does Peter have? And how many couches did Peter have to lug into the U-Haul trailer as well? So.
Oh, good stuff. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution. All right.
All right, Ray. See you later, buddy. Nice talking.
Take care. Nice
All
talking to you, Jason.
Good stuff there. The future is bright with that gentleman right there in Tampa Bay Ray. I like the synergy with both of these guys. Let's go ahead and talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then we will get you out of here. Mark Mancini, Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Bird, talking a little wrestling here in just a little bit. But let's talk about the Bucs. What do you expect from this schedule release tomorrow night? You excited about it, my friend?
Yeah, you know what? Almost a little bit nervous. I'm just not nervous from the standpoint of anything's going to change. We already knew who the opponents were going to be. But, 2019, they had one 8:20 game. They had 4 o'clock games. The rest were 1 o'clock, except for that 9:30 start that you and I did that pregame show when they played the Carolina Panthers over at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Then you go to 2020, and all of a sudden they've got 5 8 o'clocks, 3 Mondays. Then they got the 4 o'clocks, and it we talk about like the Lightning are facing now 3 years in a row going for championship. The legs start to get tired. It's a lot. You talk about Super Bowl hangovers. A lot of it's because every week in and week out, you're in that spotlight. It's extra drain. There's press conferences, interviews, and such. And players will tell you they get a lift from it, but at the same time, I know it can be draining. So in this, you got Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are rock stars now, and you got Justin Herbert, and you got the Chargers coming out. You got a lot of superstars. It's not just Patrick Mahomes is the baby goat anymore. The NFL has a lot of stories to tell. I would not be hurt, Pete, if they had a minimal or a decent amount of night games. Give them a few 4 o'clocks to reflect the West Coast teams they're playing. But let's just keep it simple so the Bucs can get back to what they do best, and that's going for a championship in Super Bowl 57.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. And all is assumed that this could be Brady's last year, his final hurrah with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His schedule looks a little bit tougher, but once again, I think this team will be ready for it. And once again, I kind of go back to the comment from Roger. He says, Godwin will never be the same. I hate to say it. It's me calling you. I'm a telemarketer. But what he's saying is Godwin, he doesn't think it is going to be, 100% for the season. Do you feel like if that's true with the wide receivers that you have in that room, could they still address that in free agency with a Julio Jones or Jarvis Landry, in your opinion?
Well, I want 2 things real quick. One thing is you and Leo where we're talking about that, and Leo made the point. You've got a Jarvis Landry or an Odell Beckham Jr. or even a Julio Jones still out there, and they're just wanting to take another run for the ring, or in some cases maybe their first run for the ring, and they do that, and you do have a Chris Godwin shelved until so late in the season. Then 100%. I mean, because I've been saying it for 3 years. Oh, they can't get another wide receiver, and then they go and get another wide receiver, and it works because of the offense they run. But if you don't mind, I want to work it back to the schedule before you get me out of here, because this was one thing. I'll make one prediction. We do play at Dallas in 2022. Tom Brady threw his first pass, his first completion, saw his first action in a Thanksgiving Day game back in 2000 against the Detroit Lions. They got blown out 34-9. The Patriots did. His first completed pass was in a Thanksgiving Day game. I'm not saying it wraps his career up if it's Thanksgiving 2022. My prediction is, I don't know why I feel the Buccaneers get the Thanksgiving Day in Dallas, Thanksgiving Day game in Dallas. And that one I wouldn't mind seeing because it's always a great holiday around family and friends. Like to watch a little Buccaneer football as well.
Absolutely. And the last time the Bucs were on Thanksgiving, it was a blowout affair, as all the family were looking forward to seeing the Bucs on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Not so much.
No.
Yes,
go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead,
agree. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Did Suckup miss an extra point in a field goal for the Rams game? I believe he did, and he also kicked the ball out of bounds, which led to better field position for the Rams. And I think that's where the Bucs are looking at this point, improving that special teams at all costs.
Well, I think Jason makes a great point, because you go Gostkowski, you go back to Vinatieri, Brady championship teams. One thing they all had in common, besides good coaching and great players, and of course Tom himself, they had that lockdown kicking. Borregales has been on the practice squad for 2 years now, and the talk last year was on. And last year, Pete, you remember last year there were some people posing, man, this kid's almost so good that, okay, we're keeping Ryan because he's been solid for us, but maybe a team will give us a draft pick for this kid because he was looking that good. Jason Lights kept him, tucked away on the practice squad, and there's been a lot of kickers making a lot of movement. There's even a couple of kickers looking good in the USFL, believe it or not. But that's going to be a question for me, is that if Tom has his way, I'm sure he's going to want to stay nails with Ryan, and I think Suckup, he's done enough to deserve at least the credit or appreciation to earn a job in camp. But I think that's going to be a battle between those two. I really do. I think they're going to put Borregales in some pressure situations, and they're going to see how that kid comes up, and then they're going to be able, because there's a lot of, you talk about the money with Bradley Pinion. You replace Pinion and Suckup, and you just paid for a Dominic and Sue, and possibly even one of those real cheap veteran wide receivers that want to come take a shot at a ring.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's go out to Christopher Cole here. Knowing the NFL, they won't give us a bye after the Germany game. Do you believe that? I mean, is this schedule going to be very tough, and the whole bye after the Germany game? Should they give us a bye?
Well, they have to. I mean, not have to. It's not like it's not a precedent set in stone, but generally after an international game, that team gets the bye, which for the Buccaneers makes it week 11, which would, similar to week 11 in 2020 when they came back or week 12, I'm sorry, and they came and made that run. A veteran team like this, a nice late season bye week would be just what the doctor ordered. Because that chance, traveling to Munich and then all the international press and going on and putting that happy face on for the German press and everything, which they do happily, I'm sure. And Tom's going to be still out there doing a TB12 brand just by association with that pretty face. But I think they get the bye week in week 11. And if that's the case, I think that's one of the upsides to the entire 2022 schedule.
Good stuff there. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. How concerned are you? What are your early impressions of this team in this season?
Well, what got me is that we know with the lockout, we knew that the first month or so of the season was crazy. There was going to be no off days, nothing at all. And of course, this is just a 12-game road or 10-game road swing over to the West Coast. Yeah, they go in and they win all three in Oakland against the A's. They go into Seattle and win them, almost a sweep. And then they get to LA against the Angels, and they get short. But the thing that got me is that while the Rays have not had basically but one day off, it seems, or none at all, it seems actually, since the season started. Last Thursday night, Aaron Judge shows up at the Rangers hockey game, and they're downing beers, rings or ice side. Then they're off the next day, and the Rays had already played 3 games more. And we see that in baseball. Some teams get up, some team gets back. It's just, I'm hoping that evens out, because it seems to have been a nice advantage for the Yankees. They had a nice 11-game win streak. They're doing well. But, the Red Sox are just bottoming out. The Orioles are ahead of the Red Sox by half a game. So from that standpoint, even though the Rays stumbled a bit, against the rookie last night, almost pitching a perfect game, and I know you kind of were saying, who's this kid? And we're all wondering, who is this kid? But, stuff like that happens. It's one of the romantic things about baseball when a kid like this can come in and just come, one man on base from a perfecta. Hats off to him, but yeah, they could not get the bats working last night to save their lives.
Any concern about this lineup? I mean, lots of hitters under the Mendoza line.
Yeah, they're coming on. We're getting a lot from the Brent Phillips. We're getting a lot from these young guys and these heart and hustle guys. But I don't know. I thought when Kiermaier had to walk off at home there a couple weeks ago, I thought he was going to really get going. I still see a lot of confidence in this team. It was the pitching rotation, but Yarbrough's starting to look really, the team's starting to come together. I'm not worried so much, Pete, but maybe that's just because right now most of my worry, or at least anxious nervousness, is just about these Lightning getting Game 6 tomorrow night. Let's get to Game 7. Let's get this first round done and get a victory.
All right, well done. We'll end off on that. Go ahead and promote yourself here, my old friend on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Well, brother, always a pleasure to be with you. Hope we can get together sometime real soon. Hey, thanks for having me on tonight. You guys can find me on Cup of Ray. I like to do my thing where I just rant a little bit, and I like to have everyone count the mistakes I make. And if I make 10 mistakes and you can actually get them written down, you get the next beer on me.
All right, good stuff. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay. Also do a show on Saturday mornings called what again?
Oh, yeah, the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection with Mike Rickard. We're down live at Ferg's every Saturday. It's from the Pee-wees to the preps to the pros. We had the Eckerd College women's beach volleyball team last week. We had the the Boca Ciega Pirates baseball team the week before. And then the week before that, the Hollins High, my alma mater, their baseball team. Phenomenal season, 13-6. They're going to districts. So, yeah, we like to cover all the sports in the Bay Area and all these young people that are just doing some outstanding things and committed to their sports. And we like to put a little emphasis on it because we think they deserve it.
All right, good stuff. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution, all right?
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, there you go. So let's go ahead and take a quick break as we are waiting for the madman himself. His bodyguard is already in there, the bodyguard of the Berg, but no Mark Mancini. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk wrestling. We will talk national perspective, whether it's the NFL, NHL, or Major League Baseball here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football. But, of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the Sports Web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
All right, welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web live on I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and the Hub. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about as we are waiting for the madman. I want to get both of them on together, so I'm sorry here, Ralph. I'll wait for him as I'm trying to contact him, but open phone lines. Anything you want to talk about tonight, whether it has to do with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Tampa Bay Lightning. How do you feel, Lightning fans, about Game 6 tomorrow night at Amalie Arena? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Troy Polamalu, King Troy. If Godwin will never be the same, he screwed up big time by not asking for that big time money like the other diva wide receivers. It's a good point, but that's the reason why Godwin is the player he is. He's not a diva wide receiver, and I believe, and the Buccaneer organization has faith that Godwin will be the same. Maybe not this year. I think, injuries have come a long way. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, you would say, well, the guy will miss an extended period of time. But, at the end of the day, I have faith, and I think the injury situation will clear itself up. If not, once again, I do think the Bucs may address that position in free agency. I'm not necessarily buying the whole Cyril Grayson, great story. Get it. Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, Jalen Darden, Brashard Perryman. I'm not sure if I'm buying that. Russell Gage from Atlanta, they get him. So we're trying to get, and the Rays are up right now as we're getting it from Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, 4-2, bottom of the 10, 2 outs. Absolutely. Peter, Mama said you can come back home and rent free. Just wash your own clothes. And for that, this is what you get.
Shut up!
Well, I don't know where Mr. Mancini is, so let me see if I can contact him really quick, as this is not like him, because he said he was ready to go. So where are you, my friend? As we are producing on air here, and I'm not getting anything from him. So I tell you what, let's go out to the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams. Welcome to the Evolution as we await your co-host there, the madman himself of Mancini Media, Mark Mancini. Lots of news this week, of course, coming off of WrestleMania. Welcome to the Evolution.
Thanks for having me again, Peter. I appreciate it.
And of course, you do a Pittsburgh Maulers show. How is that going for you? And your thoughts of the USFL League and its early infancy, if you will?
Well, it's a lot of low scoring, Peter. And, these teams are compiled of people who never really made it in the NFL or any other league. And next year, there's going to be 2 more leagues to add to the spring football equation. So what's happening now is the USFL is doing everything they can to try to put out a good product. The product's not bad. I mean, they have some well-known coaches. You have Mike Riley. You have Jeff Fisher. You have Kevin Sumlin, Larry Fedora. You've got some good names out there for some coaches. And you also have Skip Holtz. So, by having those guys coaching teams, I think it brings a little bit of class to the USFL. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen after this season. Fox will make that determination. They're going to let all the teams go to their home bases and play. So we're going to find out what happens after this season. Right now, the Maulers are not doing well. They can't control the line of scrimmage. And by the way, Peter, we've been fired because we ate pizza tonight instead of chicken salad. So I just want to let you know that.
Well, I tell you right now, if you're going to get fired for something like eating pizza over chicken salad, because I'll eat that any day of the week. And I get it, people out there, you're a healthy nut. You should eat chicken. I'm not eating chicken salad, okay? Chicken salad stinks. I'm a football player. I should be able to eat whatever I want to. We've talked about on this show in the nonsensical nature of that whole story of the coach moving on because the guy didn't want to eat chicken salad. With that being said, speaking of non-chicken salad, Roman Reigns on Saturday night was saying to the New Jersey crowd he may be gone. And, of course, this kind of goes back to his comments that he hinted at on the Michael Kay show, as he said, I think there's going to be some moves made here pretty soon. There's always these speculations, these contract talks, all that pushing, that's my business. People who can dive deep enough, I'm sure they can uncover enough stones to figure out the time frame, but that's something I definitely want to dabble in. I want to gain more experience. I want to use these tools that I've learned. WWE has done so right by me. They've given me so much and placed so many great blessings and opportunities in front of me. I just had to capture them. I just had to grab the ball and run with it. I like to think that along the way, I just picked up so many skills and experienced so many different things that are going to help me, because at the end of the day, we all know how this works. This is a young man's game. You can't fall down your whole life. You have to get to a point where you can transition, where you can connect and create new, fresh, evolved content for your fan base and your supporters. I think I have the ability to do that. At the end of the day, it's about getting into that game, being thrown into the fire, and seeing how you do. I have a pretty good track record with being thrown in the deep end, and if that's what happens in Hollywood, I'm looking to swim. What do we make of those comments and his suggestion, and how much of a blow would it to lose the tribal chief right now, probably the best thing going in WWE, to once again Hollywood, just like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock?
Absolutely. It would be a big blow, Peter. WWE is treading water right now. I mean, they're not treading water financially, but as far as TV ratings, they're treading water right now. Their storylines haven't been that great, and now they need to keep Roman Reigns around as much as possible until they can get someone else to come in with the with the play for the storylines to be able to get the ratings back up on TV. The ratings are down on both networks, USA and Fox, and the attendance are down at the events. So, but according to Conan, in a report I read, the WWE last year made $1 billion. So I just don't get. I mean, they're putting out a poor product, but they're still making money.
Yeah,
And
well, they're putting right. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so I don't know how it's being done. I don't know what the thing is. I don't know if everyone just decides they love WWE so much they don't care what the product looks like. They're going to go anyway, and that's what it is right now.
Well, that's what it is right now. And of course, Reigns starred in the Fast and Furious franchise with, of course, his cousin in The Rock, of course, the biggest superstar right now in Hollywood with all the movies that he's doing, and now having a TV show on Peacock with a young Rock, and then, of course, teasing it. I mean, how would you play this storyline out if you're Nick Khan and Vince McMahon, knowing that your biggest superstar may be walking away? Who do you pass the torch to? It's not The Rock. Who is it, in your opinion?
Okay, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to put Brock Lesnar in the corner, and you need to tell him, look, if you're going to come back and wrestle this time, you're going to stay and you're going to wrestle full time, and not just make spot appearances and things like that in order for him to come back. They need Brock Lesnar now. They're going to have to bring him back. They're going to have to get him into the storyline, because I don't see anybody else here right now that can do what Roman Reigns is doing. And that's a simple fact.
Ralph, we'll get back to that in a moment. Let's go out to Curtis. Curtis, using your second call. Welcome back to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, here talking WWE. What do you have to say, my friend?
I agree with him. Brock Lesnar, if he's going to come back, he needs to stay full time.
I don't agree. I'm going to tell you why, guys. And here's the thing, Curtis, and I'll let you get back to it. Right now, look at it from the standpoint of when WWE was able to transition from The Rock, they went with Brock Lesnar because he was a young talent. In my opinion, guys, it would be a mistake, a big-time mistake, to pass that torch to Brock Lesnar, because he is what he is at this point, gentlemen. He is a part-time wrestler. You need to pass the torch to a young guy that eventually is going to be the face of WWE. Now you can go ahead, Curse.
I agree with you and disagree with you. I mean, the thing about it is, here's my issue with wrestling right now. I love wrestling. I brought my kids up on wrestling. My daughters love wrestling. You know, we used to sit down and watch it on Mondays and Fridays together. You don't get you're not surprised anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing surprises you anymore.
You
know, and it's like, you wait for.
You're right, Curtis. You're exactly right, Curtis. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's the same storylines. It's the same matches.
Dude, don't get me wrong. I watched the pay-per-view Sunday. I loved Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. I loved it. But in my heart, I already knew Ronda Rousey was going to win. I already knew that.
Right.
She wasn't going to beat Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte was not going to beat Ronda in a match where you could pretty much do anything to somebody and get away with it. She wasn't. It just wasn't going to happen. Especially because they're promoting Ronda as the, excuse my French, baddest bitch on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to happen. You know, the even the whole Becky Lynch thing, the man that got dried up. It got dried up really fast.
Guys, are we getting sick of the Roman Reigns gimmick with the tribal chief and the bloodline? Are we getting sick of that? And does eventually WWE have to change it up, in your opinion, Curtis?
I mean, yes, I am getting tired of it, but they don't have anything else.
That's it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But to me, that is the mistake here. And I get what you're saying, Ralph, because Lesnar is a name. I get what you're saying, Curtis. Lesnar is a name at the end of the day. But in order to really, truly pass the torch, and it goes back to Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, right? Andre the Giant passes the torch to Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is the next big thing. Hogan, I guess, passed the torch to
the Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior. That didn't necessarily work out. And, of course, he passed the torch to somebody else.
Sergeant Slaughter, then back to Hogan.
I'm going to tell you something, Pete. I liked Big E as the champion.
Right.
I did. I think a lot of people loved Big E as the champion.
Correct.
And when he had to hand over the title, I think a lot of people didn't like it.
Right.
This guy was a fun-loving guy that you wanted to root for. It didn't matter who he was fighting. You wanted to root for this guy.
Sure.
And I mean, like Roman's coming off as a dick. Nobody likes a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's funny.
Right.
It's funny. It's, it's hilarious. But to come out there and see the same thing over, he's basically another version of Brock Lesnar.
He pretty much is.
That's
And
what
all
he is.
right. And all the fan base wanted him to go heel. But again, you have to change up the storylines. That was the problem with WCW and the NWO storyline, which is probably one of the greatest of all time. But you did nothing to change it up. It just became the same old thing every week. And then you have G-Generation X. They fall victim to it. I mean, eventually you're going to have to end a storyline or change it up in order to make it fresh. And look who decided to show up. The madman himself, Mr. Mark Mancini, right there.
I would never disappoint you. I was on a Vegas thing, and I said, hey, guys, I got to get off, man. The Tampa Tribune's calling. Peter Blank, the bodyguard of the Berg, is here.
That's it. I'm here, man.
And we also
told
got
you I was
Curtis
coming.
on the line. Now, the question was, because this goes back, and we talked about this, Mark, off air, the Madman, Mancini Media, XM Sirius Radio, how Roman Reigns was hinting, look, I may be leaving wrestling and going to Hollywood. And I asked these guys here. Ralph said Brock Lesnar. Curtis said Brock Lesnar. I say you pass the torch to somebody else. If you're going to pass the torch, knowing that Reigns is going to be moving on to Hollywood eventually, in your opinion, who should it be? Should it be a guy like a Matt Riddle? Should it be a Braun Breaker who has history in this business? Again, he's young, but Scott Steiner, Rick Steiner, he's over. NXT's going nowhere. I mean, should that be a young superstar where Reigns passes the torch to make that superstar legit?
Well, here's the thing. I like Randy Orton. Randy Orton can carry the torch, but realistically, he was hinting because you know where this thing is going. They need to buy time into November, December to the buildup of The Rock. So, they've seen the McIntyre Roman Reigns feud going. If you start to go in and he doesn't take time off, who's his next opponent going to be? As we go into June, July, August, they need, it's going to drain itself out. So I knew when he started to hint, they were building towards The Rock in this case. The Rock and him will get this thing feuding probably in January.
Yeah.
So they'll stretch it out where Reigns comes on, appears at, these Money in the Banks and these Summer Slams, these things, Hell in the Cell. But the buildup will start in January. He'll be on every week all the way to WrestleMania. And then I think you're going to see him start to do a John Cena, and go into the movie industry and stuff like that. He doesn't have to prove anything. He's the best heel this organization has seen in quite some time, if not the whole time. I'd give it to Randy Orton. I mean, let Randy Orton run with it. And the real thing there is they're going to break those guys up. Who's going to be the heel here? Both of them have been hidden here.
Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle should be the heel.
heel.
Matt Riddle should be the heel. We've seen it's like going back to Curtis and Ralph's point here on Roman Reigns. We've seen Reigns as a heel. We've seen RKO. We've seen Randy be a heel before. Of course, the Viper, the Legend Killer. I need to see Riddle be a heel. I need to see him get over. And that would be a guy I would put over.
I think that next, they're going to push that guy Damian Priest.
Well,
with-
he's
with,
right. Correct.
With Edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, here's the thing. You already don't like him. So like, he's going to be the next guy that, people don't like. And,
Right.
I'm tired of them putting out bad things like this whole thing with Ezekiel and Kevin Owens. Like, I want to throw up. I really do.
Yeah.
I really want to throw up. Like, I've seen better runs and draws. Seriously.
So the whole thing with Edge and Priest and Ripley there, it looks like they've started to bring Halloween up in here till May. I just they look like something out of a zombie.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, is Edge Gangrel all over again?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's genius by WWE going
That's what it
back
looks
to
like.
history, right? And Ralph, the bodyguard of the Berg here, you would have to say, look, Damian Priest has been trying to get over. Of course, Rhea Ripley has been trying to get over some success with both of them. But of course, in order to get those superstars over, because they are so young in the business, you do that with the faction, with the veteran like an Edge, right?
Yeah, I think I like the faction. And by the way, if anyone's interested, Gangrel's wrestling in MLW.
Wow.
So he's back, and that's what he's doing. So and in the independent circuit as well, because I think he's coming to Pittsburgh for one of our independent circuit matches here. So anyway, but like I said,
and push Cody again.
Well,
Obviously,
I mean, I think Cody's the eventual guy. I think he's the guy that everybody assumes is going to take the belt off of Reigns.
He's going to have to. He's going to have to, Peter. They don't have nobody else. Reigns goes to Hollywood or goes bye-byes from wrestling. They need to come up with a game plan fast, and I think Cody Rhodes will be fine. I think he's going to be he's a good wrestler, and it's his time. He took 6 years away from the WWE, went out and mastered his craft. He had Arn Anderson train. He still has Arn Anderson training him. So I mean, I think he's going to be a successful wrestler and move on ahead and do something his father never did.
and the other thing that I was a little upset about was they should have just let Drew and Roman fight because they had a history of where they didn't like each other.
Exactly.
Then they split them up because McIntyre was on Raw and Reigns was on SmackDown, and then they brought them back together on SmackDown, and then this feud starts rebuilding again, and then you make it a 6-man. I didn't want to see a 6-man. I wanted to see Usos versus RK Bro. Then I wanted to see Reigns versus McIntyre. That's what I wanted to see.
Good stuff.
I think Roman Reigns and the Usos. I think the Usos are scared of RK Bro because if they weren't scared, this match would have already been signed for the unification.
But there's no way that you're going to put RK Bro over the bloodline at this point, especially with you trying to establish them. Mark, I go out to you. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Well, and not only that, when you start to look at it, you got, where's the smoke? Those guys, I can't tell if they're heels one week or faces the next. When you look at those guys, and then Lacey Evans, they're moving her now over from SmackDown to Raw. They're going to create a heel gimmick for her. Here I was starting to buy in. I felt sorry. Somebody stole her Jeep and her hand grenades. We're getting a nice story from her. Now she's going to become a heel, and we're going to get the sassy one of the South again.
Yeah, I never got the gimmick. And I tell you right now, going back to Curtis has an astute point. If not for Big E's injury and, of course, a local Tampa guy with the neck, and it's unfortunate, I think he would absolutely be in that conversation of passing the torch. I tend to agree with you. I think it's Cody Rhodes at this point. And anybody else? I
want to say this about Riddle.
Sure.
Let me mix football and wrestling. People might not have liked Gronk when he played for New England, but as a person, you love the guy.
Right.
Riddle has the same personality where you might think he's goofy, you might not understand his antics completely, but you have to love this guy because he's positive and he stays away from the negativity. And for anybody, and anybody who's watched wrestling for a long time, it's hard to be friends with Randy Orton. We all know this.
Oh yeah,
everybody knows it's hard to be friends.
Oh, backstage.
He's backstabbed people so many times. He's had partners and everything.
Ken Anderson would absolutely subscribe to that theory.
I remember when he was rated RKO with Edge. I thought that was one of the greatest tag teams I ever seen in my life.
Yes. Yeah. Agree. Good stuff, Curtis. Thanks a lot for tuning in. You can use
thank you,
the call
Curtis.
if you like to.
Curtis
All right.
is great.
I love Curtis. Curtis always brings it here on the Evolution. All right, going back to it. What do you think of this faction, Madman, with Edge and, of course, Damian Priest, and now adding Rhea Ripley?
Well, like I said, it's bizarre to say the least, but I think there's going to be a fourth one in here, and who does Finn Balor come into this equation?
Right.
They're going to start to build this up, and Edge is building his own circuit there. Like I said, the last couple of weeks, it's nothing going to be like the Shield or Nexus, but they're going to keep.
You hope not.
Yeah, they're going to keep building this up, and then till somebody turns on somebody here. But the real domino that's fallen here, and they can't seem to get back up, is Seth Rollins. What the hell are they going to do with Seth Rollins here, man?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with him. I mean, that would be another guy I think you could pass the torch to. In my opinion, he's a young face. He's a heel. I think he's definitely over with the crowd, but I could see Cody definitely taking the title away. Now, this from Dave Metzler of his Wrestling Observer newsletter. He says AEW talent looking to jump to WWE were reportedly told to wait until 2024. Of course, the names that are being mentioned at this juncture are MJF, Wardlow, and of course, Jade Cargill. Of course, it's mentioned that WWE could have had these superstars before, but the reason why they're asking to wait here, Mark and the bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams, is because possibly AEW could have a new TV deal by 2024. So what do you think? Do you buy into the fact of possibly the WWE stealing some of the AEW superstars here?
I think it's going to happen, Peter. And the reason I say this is because MJF keeps hinting he's going to the WWE. Now, MJF does what he wants. And that was one of the reasons Cody Rhodes left. He got tired of Tony Khan letting certain people do whatever they wanted and not making things fair or making things even and whatnot. So with that, MJF has pissed off the locker room so bad and everybody else involved here that nobody wants him around, and he can't get the respect he wants. So in 2024, when his contract runs out, he said he's going to the WWE, and I don't blame him. I mean, if that's what he thinks he needs to do, that's fine. I have a problem with him continuing to make his own matches, and there's a big fallout with this, with Cody leaving, as executive vice president, and now the Young Bucks are starting to get discouraged. They may go. Kenny Omega, he's still out with injury. You won't see him for about 5 years. He's had about 4 surgeries.
5 years.
So I mean, he's got 4 surgeries. He's had 4 surgeries.
Right.
So I mean, it's going to be a while for him. I mean, I'm just saying that to be facetious, but I mean, he needs. That's where it stands right now with AEW. And now they're bringing in all these wrestlers, and they don't know what to do with them.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, and, of course, the madman of Mancini Media, Mark Mancini, here on the wrestling segment. Turnbuckle talk, if you will, on a Wednesday night. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Pittsburgh.
All right, Pittsburgh. What's your name?
Oh, hey.
Acknowledge the Berg.
That's right.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Juana.
Hi, Juana. What do you have to say here? What do you think about Roman Reigns possibly leaving WWE for Hollywood, and who should WWE pass the torch to, in your opinion?
Guess what? Ralph introduced me to sports and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'm a novice.
Okay.
So
yeah, she is.
He's grabbing us people who really don't watch too many sports to introduce us.
Good.
To something new.
Good. That's
Thank
called
you.
corruption. We call that corruption in this business. That's what you gotta do.
Networking.
Right. He's grabbing people like, you got to, introduce us to wrestling.
Yes.
Introducing me to baseball.
Yes.
Introducing me to football. And I said, you know what? Let me do this. Let me learn.
So what have you learned so far here? Go ahead. Give me a synopsis.
Okay, the Maulers.
Okay.
Now, the Mollis has a losing season so far.
So
Am I
far,
correct?
that is correct.
Yes.
Woo! Give me 5 stars now.
All right,
dude.
let me go ahead and fire the cannons for that. Good stuff.
See?
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Wanda, for your phone call. I
Appreciate it, Juana. Thanks a lot for the call.
You know what? Thanks for having me on, and I'm just so happy to be learning about sports that I've never knew things about.
Well,
Here you go.
I'll tell you what, you keep on calling. You watch this show on Wednesday night for our Turnbuckle Talk, and we'll teach you some more, all right? And
There you go.
We'll pick it up, and you'll keep on calling in, and who knows? You won't be you'll know.
We might introduce you to Ryan Gosselin or somebody.
Oh, jeez.
Wednesday night. Okay.
All right.
Name it.
All right. Appreciate it, Juana. Good stuff there. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution. Let's go out to Christopher Cole here. Good comment. Why would any AEW stars go to the dumpster fire of WWE?
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you, but I also understand where Ralph and Madman are coming from, especially Ralph. MJF is probably the hottest free agent coming up there. I think, again, though, that's the reason why a lot of these superstars are being asked to wait until 2024 to see what kind of TV deal. And if I'm MJF, I would stay where I'm at because there is no guarantee. And ask other guys that have left there, Adam Cole and Keith Lee and, Cody Rhodes for a while.
yeah.
There are plenty of guys that have left WWE that have been unhappy. The difference is AEW has the freedom, of course, has freedom and promos to do whatever you want to. So if I'm MJF, I would stay put. But again, at the end of the day, the pinnacle is always to get to WWE, right, Ralph?
Absolutely. The WWE is the top notch right now, despite the fact, as I mentioned, they have a bad product, but they're still it. I mean, everybody knows WWE. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants to, do their thing. They want to have a shirt. They want to be able to imitate Randy Orton or the New Day or whatever, And when I used to work at Steak and Shake, there were some kids there that used to enjoy wrestling along with myself. And I used to say, New Day rocks, and they clap their hands, and we'd walk around the restaurant in the back and go, New Day rocks. So I mean, everybody enjoys that kind of stuff, and and it's going to continue. Vince McMahon is always going to make money with the WWE. I don't care if he has one fan in the stands; he'll find a way to make money and bring it. It's an enterprise. It's in the stock market. I mean, Vince McMahon is a genius. And that's the way it is. And I don't care what other wrestling federation comes in here or organization. You're not gonna blow out Vince McMahon. You might overspend on him, but you're not gonna blow him out.
Well,
go ahead, Mark.
Oh, well, here's the thing. I mean, I think Ralph brings up some valid points there. The WWE is the threshold of it. I mean, being part of the XPW, our biggest chief competitor was ECW and Paul Heyman there, but. The thing, if I'm a wrestler in AEW and I'm looking at the WWE, yeah, that's the pinnacle of things. But how far can you trust Vince McMahon here, man?
Yeah,
that is the real question you got to ask yourself. Do you want to jump to this thing? Are you going to be a pawn, in this thing? Or, you see the guys that come over here. He treats them like crap. They release wrestlers left and right. I mean, you got a 15-minute car chase, and then you're pretty much dropped. Look at some of these guys. We talked about Seth Rollins. We talked about Dean Ambrose. Yeah, Roman Reigns had to renew his whole character here just before the pandemic to get his thing going and to be the best heel, in this wrestling organization. But for every Roman Reigns, for every John Cena, for every Undertaker, how many guys have come in here and said, hey, dude, what are you doing for me? Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk. I mean, the list goes on and on here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And again, if I'm MJF, I stay where I'm at.
Yeah.
I mean, again, but he's got the power. He's still young. What is he, 24, 25 years old?
25, I think.
And to
He's
me,
25, yeah.
guys, I think they have messed up on an opportunity here to put the belt on him because he is the most top guy in the business at this point, and also one of the top hills, and also young. To me, he's kind of the face of AEW, should be the face of AEW. Speaking of
Peter,
yes,
Peter, if he could have kept his faction together, the Pinnacle, can you imagine him being the champion similar to Roman Reigns and having that Pinnacle faction and then having FTR as the champions? I mean, that would be an interest. It would be almost the same way.
Yeah.
You know, but and then like the chairman of, you know, Sean Spears maybe winning the TNT title, and they hold, and you know, his faction holding all the belts.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
I mean, you know,
I like the storyline with Wardlow because they're trying to get him over with
Absolutely,
the
yes.
MJF, but eventually I think MJF has to go over him, and eventually he'll have to win the title, in my opinion. Speaking of former title holders in the other organization, WWE, it was reported that Bray Wyatt was making $4 million a year.
Yes.
Tell you what, let's go out to our favorite caller here. Let's go out to Curtis. Curtis, welcome to Turnbuckle Talk here on the Evolution of Sports Talk.
Curtis is back.
No, I love this conversation.
Good,
right now.
good, man.
I just here's my problem. I love AEW. I watch it every once in a while. The problem is they're not as big yet.
No,
That's one problem.
No. Correct.
The problem, and then the other problem with WWE is when John Cena started becoming the guy,
Mm-hmm.
there was everybody else's career was winding down.
Right.
We had no other icons. We thought that Randy Orton, and don't get me wrong, Randy Orton is a legendary wrestler.
Sure.
I don't think he's an icon. He's not.
Randy Orton?
Like his name, dude. Just hear me out.
Okay.
Just hear me out.
Okay.
He's great. He's a legendary wrestler. His name rings bells worldwide. But is he on the level of a Austin and a Hogan and the Rock and even John Cena? Like
I think he's in the conversation, Curtis. I do. And I'll tell you why. Because of, you know, not only being the Viper, but the Legend Killer. And look at some of the guys that he went over in his career. And I get it. It's storylines, but
it's
talent-wise, I think he's in that.
Because of where he's at now.
Right.
That's what people are looking at. They're not looking at the Randy Orton we grew up on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
looking at a
who
different
he is
version.
now.
Right.
Exactly.
I agree. But that's what makes a good character. That's what it makes a character transition throughout the years. That's why Chris Jericho, I always say, Chris Jericho is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. You know why? Because he's been able to change gimmicks, but still be over with the crowd, no matter if he's a heel or a babyface or not. He's been able to reinvent himself. Sting went through the same thing, is still going through the same thing. That's why he's one of the greatest.
Well, here's the thing. I know one of the biggest things ever to me was you let CM Punk walk. We all know that.
Correct.
We all know that was one of the biggose losses. But then you lose Ambrose. Ambrose was a big guy.
Ambrose Asylum.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You lose Daniel Bryan. Are you serious?
Yes.
You let Bryan walk out the door?
Yes. I know.
Bray Wyatt. How many times is his gimmicks? I mean, you know,
Well, his gimmick has been ruined, and I tell you right now, and it goes back to this story, and let's go ahead and finish up with this. You know, it was reported $4 million, and the reason why he's not with AEW is because he's pricing himself out. But the perfect move for him, guys, would be Bray Wyatt, because he is so creative and has that freedom, and they give their wrestlers the freedom. That's why their wrestlers are most likely happy, besides a Cody Rhodes who wanted to book himself, but that's neither here nor there. They have that freedom of character. For me, the perfect fit, if it could work out, would be Bray Wyatt in AEW. Let me ask you this, Curtis, and then we'll go to our panel here, the bodyguard from the Berg, and of course, Mark Mancini, the madman himself, Mancini Media, former XPW announcer. Do we feel like eventually Wyatt will end up in AEW, or will eventually he go back to WWE and have trust in Nick Khan and, of course, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard to put his character over? What do you think?
I think he's going to end up back in WWE.
I do too.
Because the money, number one, the money.
Right.
But number two, I don't ever think they should have let him or Strowman go.
Great.
Yeah.
Because even though Strowman was, you know, he was kind of all over the place, and you know, I know he made a lot of mistakes in the ring or whatever. He played his part. He was a monster. That's what he was.
Right.
He was a guy that got in the ring,
correct,
and you expected for him to dominate, and he dominated.
Correct.
We don't have that anymore.
What do you don't?
Undertaker's gone. Kane is gone.
Yep.
Like, you know, we got Omos and whatever the other guy, and I'm like, these guys are a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Curtis. Great stuff as always.
Yeah, thank you, Curtis.
Yeah, thank you.
I just, the thing about it is, you know, the top guys should be wrestling the top guys. I know you want to give other guys, you know, a test. Why is Bobby Lashley fighting Omos? I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I know.
Because Vince has an infatuation with big guys who can't talk on the mic and have no skills in the ring. I mean, honestly, Braun Strowman is
because Vince McMahon don't have skills in the ring. He was a lopsided wrestler every time he was in a match with somebody, and you notice he lost more than he won.
You're right, but the infatuation, and I get it, what they're trying to do with putting MVP with them, but you're exactly right, Curtis. I mean, nobody really wants to see that, do we? We don't want to see Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley would be a guy you can maybe pass the torch.
Well, not only that, Vince should do everybody a favor and sell it to Fox and move on, or do like Fox did and give a Tom Brady a $375 million deal when he's done playing football. You should do that with some of these guys. Give Bray.
Are you saying? Hold on. Are you saying that they should give the company to Dwayne Johnson? Because I'm all for it.
I'm definitely for that. I've been for that from the.
Although
I'm for if he gives the company to Triple H. I'm for that. Anybody but Vince McMahon right now.
I agree with you on that, and they ruined Triple H's creation in NXT by making it NXT 2.0. All the characters that he built up. I mean, guys, it's an interesting question. Who would you like to see, Curtis, run the wrestling business once hopefully Vince steps aside? Dwayne Johnson or Triple H? Who would you like to see?
I want to see. Y'all might laugh at me because I love Shane. I love that guy.
Yeah, Shane, sure. Anybody.
I love Shane. I really, really do. And give Shane whatever he wants. But see, I think Shane would bring in The Rock as an advisor. He'd bring in guys that want to see this company still progress in the future, because The Rock will tell you himself, he's a wrestler at heart. He loves it.
Yes. Absolutely. I agree.
I love it. To me, and I hate to say this, Shane, Stephanie and Triple H, go find something to do with yourselves, please.
Well, look, I think Stephanie's done a good job with the women's division. I think Triple H has done a good job with building characters. I think more than anything else, if Shane would take over, Triple H would be his consultant. But it's an astute point, as always, Curtis, one of my favorite callers here on the Evolution. Yes.
And God, I listen. I don't want to see Goldberg wrestling anymore.
Can we stop that? Can we just discontinue that altogether? Have we said that Goldberg is basically over there?
Go back to acting.
Well, and not only that,
never good at acting. Where was he good at acting at, Ralph?
Every time.
Shut up, Ralph.
You know what?
No, you know what? He was a bodyguard in a bar. I mean, he was a bouncer in a bar when he was discovered by Eric Bischoff.
Goldberg.
Right.
Let me just ask you guys something. If The Rock ran it, everybody loves The Rock. Across this country, and you go anywhere in the world, everybody loves The Rock. But you know what? The one thing I think that separates The Rock from the rest of these people, The Rock is genuine, where he treats these wrestlers like he'd want to be treated. So I think the organization and everything with The Rock, even coming in with the XFL now, The Rock, I think it's going to be I'm not saying it's going to take down the NFL by any means, but I think it's going to be a substantial, enterprise that he's going to oversee and be a part of, that is going to work wonders. I think that's the most important thing you can do in life, guys, is be genuine. And I think The Rock, when you look at Vince McMahon,
100% agree. 100%.
And I'll tell you right now, I would love to see The Rock run it, but I think I kind of goes back to people wanting LeBron James to do the slam dunk. Why would he want to do that? Because then he would be criticized. The Rock right now is the top superstar in Hollywood. He's running the XFL. If he failed with WWE, I just think I don't know what he has to gain at this point.
How many millionaires and billionaires have failed at things?
Sure, I agree with you on that, but
they still do it.
Would The Rock want to do that?
We had one that was our president. He's failed at many things.
Easy now. No political commentary on the sports web. It's stricken.
Here's my
Ralph.
thing about Shane and The Rock. If they joined up and was partners together with the deal they have with Peacock,
Yes.
I think that we could get wrestling every night. You would have Mondays and Fridays for your premier athletes,
Sure.
the guys that are on top, the women that are on top.
Right.
And then we'd have, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and maybe Saturdays for our up and comers, and we get to learn these people.
Yeah.
Because, I listen, I love NXT, but it's too much at one time. And then you bring these guys in from NXT,
It's
and
awful.
then you're like,
It's awful.
you're like,
It's awful.
no, they're not ready.
Yeah, it's awful, man. It really is.
They're either not ready or they don't know what to do with them. That's
Well,
the
it's
whole
like the
thing.
underground, when the WWE had the underground thing, that looked like it fell in the street outside a bar somewhere in South Philly.
It is terrible.
Give me another hardcore legend. Where's my Mick Foley at? Give me something.
Well, I agree with you on that, Curtis. Good stuff as always here on the Evolution. Definitely.
Have a good one, Curtis. Thank you.
You guys take it easy.
All right, love that guy.
You too.
All right, so we'll finish off with this guy's story that's unfortunate that has happened once again. Former WWE diva Tammy Lynn Cinch, who was, of course, inducted into the Hall of Fame 49, is arrested by Florida police for causing a car crash that killed a man, 75, while she was 3.5 times over the drunk drive limit. 49, Sitch, of course, a former WWE wrestler, was arrested Friday in connection to a fatal collision that killed another motorist on March 25th. She has had various problems throughout her career. At this point, guys, she has to go to jail, right? I mean, this is rock bottom, or eventually we're going to see Sitch on an article saying that she's basically dead because she's already killed somebody. She's had these problems in the past. We know about her past in this wrestling organization and how much she meant to the Divas. I think she was unbelievable in her time, but it's definitely been a downward spiral, right, Ralph?
Yes, it has. And I thought that when she got the Hall of Fame induction, maybe she cleaned her act up a little bit, but it turns out that's not the case. And now she's in big trouble. And I don't think she can get out of this one because she's had numerous brushes with the law. And it's really sad that she's let herself go this way. And, I feel bad for some of these guys and gals that are in wrestling and then they get out of it and all of a sudden are in trouble with the law all the time. It's crazy. I mean, I remember when Lex Luger got out of it and he was down on a beach in Florida,
right.
And what happened with Miss Elizabeth. I mean, it was just crazy. It's nuts about what some of these guys do and gals.
Agree, bodyguard. Madman, what do you say?
Well, I worked with Tammy in XPW, and I think she's gone downhill ever since Chris Candido left us. I mean, it's been a downhill effect. I mean, that's been the thing. And, I really looked up to her, like you said, the Divas and Sunny, and just a breath of fresh air, a beautiful lady, and to see her go down the tubes like this. Yeah, I mean, how many chances can you give? I mean, are we cats and we're going to get 9 lives here? I mean, you got to pay the price. You got to be held accountable.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's the problem. She hasn't been held accountable. And, at the end of the day, I would hope that WWE would be able to reach out to her if she needed some help. It certainly seems like she has some major problems in her life she's not been able to overcome. And like I said, I'm kind of worried about guys seeing her eventually being found dead or something. I just think that's the kind of track that
I heard the health problems with Jake the Snake. He's not doing too good.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up, Peter, about Jake the Snake, and Mark beat me to it.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, I read an article tonight that from Jim Ross, and he said Jake the Snake is not in good health. He hasn't been on TV, and I even was wondering. I thought maybe they just singled him out. But here come to find out he's having health issues. He's having respiratory problems. He can't breathe. And it's getting worse.
Well, here's a wrestler that got with DDP and, of course, found the fountain of youth. He was able to overcome his alcohol and drug problems. Of course, this was highlighted in the movie Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Mat, right.
Yes, which is a great documentary on wrestlers, especially Jake. And it was sad, but it was nice to see him back in AEW. But, hopefully he can overcome these health problems. Your thoughts on Jake the Snake? I mean, to me, one of the most over superstars that got underused in WWE history.
Yeah, he did. And, it's terrible that it happened that way. He had a drug problem too. We saw that in the documentary, in that movie.
Right.
And he had some issues with, not paying his child support. He ended up in jail. He was living in hotel to hotel. He didn't have a home. And then once he got with DDP, he got his life back in order. He got a steady home environment and made some new friends, and old friends came back, and he started getting back into things. And it was great for him. It was a Cinderella story, but you're right. He was underused when he was in the WWE, and he made it in the independent circuit throughout the years. And then when he retired, he became the manager for Lance Archer in AEW, and they brought him back, and it's great. I haven't seen Arn Anderson, and I think he's still training Cody Rhodes, but I don't know if he's allowed back with the WWE because he was with them and he left.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I go back to Jake the Snake here, man, and it comes down to possibly the feud between him and Hogan, which could have been, and I guess Vince never bought it. And then the possible feud between him and Ultimate Warrior, and then of course Ultimate Warrior gets fired, and that storyline is put to rest. Your thoughts on Jake the Snake?
Well, I love Jake the Snake, and the big one with Rick Rude was another big one with Jake's wife in that one. So. Yeah, Jake, I mean, I'll tell you, some of these guys need some help when they get out of wrestling. I kind of look at it like with the NFL, the football players, the NFL is going to look after these guys that have put their time in and help. I don't know how much time Vince McMahon puts into these guys after they left the organization. Every time you see a Ric Flair or a Hogan come back, they come back, and then there's the feud kicks up, and then they're banished again. So
yeah.
I really think the problem is Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon needs to look into himself in the mirror here. And I always say to myself, if I was ever offered something with the WWE, I'd have to get my I's dotted and my T's crossed before I signed anything with
Absolutely.
Vince McMahon.
Agree. I'll tell you what, guys, let's go out to the comments and we'll wrap it up for the night for turnbuckle talk here on the Evolution, the Sports Web, with the Madman, former XPW announcer, Mancini Media, Mark Mancini, and of course, the bodyguard of the bird, Mr. Ralph Williams, host of the USFL Pittsburgh Maulers pre-show and also post-show, right?
Yes.
All right.
We're feeling good. We took the Dodgers out 2 out of 3.
Yeah. We should have beat the Reds for 4 games,
Peter,
too.
We almost took that Statue of Liberty. That's okay. We brought it back to Pittsburgh. We're going to throw that son of a gun in the Allegheny Friday night.
It's a long season, Mark. Don't get too excited, but congratulations on the small or the victories over the Dodgers here. Let's go out to this guy here. David says, do you think the Bucs might pick up somebody from the new USFL league? Absolutely. Jason Light talked about that when the league's over. Yes. That is certainly a possibility. Who? I don't know yet because I'm not a fortune teller and I can't look into my crystal ball. But Jason Light was asked about this a couple weeks ago, and he said, yes, it absolutely helps the NFL. So you can bet that they're definitely going to look at that pool of talent. Who is this guy? It's the bodyguard. I told you who it is.
That's the bodyguard of the bird, baby.
JD from New York. Thank God for Tony Khan and AEW. Troy says, Peter said when he does these shows, he doesn't wear pants. Why are you giving away my secrets there, Troy? Roger Shue says, good night, Pete. Troy, again, MMA is fake, wrestling is real. Good comment there, Christopher. Good comment, Troy. Christopher Cole says, why would any AEW stars go to the dumpster fire WWE? We already answered that. Peter's favorite wrestler was Goldust. That wasn't bad. Dustin Rhodes at the time. Good gimmick. Nunzio from the FBI is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah, I remember him.
Cole, we remember him. He's not the greatest wrestler of all time.
No, but I remember him.
I remember.
No, Peter, but I remember him though. I mean, I didn't say he was the greatest wrestler of all time.
I didn't say you, Ralph. I said George.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying you. I love watching WCW and Sting and Kevin Nash. Absolutely. Christopher Cole. Goldberg played in Cyborg. Enough said. Cyborg, okay? That's where we're going. Cyborg, not a great actor. The Rock sucks. Wish Steve Austin could stun him one last time. Not happening. The Rock doesn't stink. Wanda says, sorry to hear about Jake the Snake's health issues now. Christopher Cole says, I saw the documentary on Elizabeth, and while steroids have done a number on Lex Luthor, absolutely. I loved Jake the Snake too, and want to again. While I'm enjoying watching the show, I'm going to introduce my friends to watching these shows. There you go.
Wow.
All right, guys.
See, I bring you viewers and I bring you people here, Peter. So there you go.
Bodyguard, baby.
The bodyguard, I
That's right.
appreciate you. Go ahead and promote yourself.
Somebody
here.
has to do it.
Yes, go ahead, bodyguard. Promote yourself.
That's right. I do. I have shows on Pittsburgh, Sports Corner, The Way I See It, Mauler Talk. And and then I do Blog Talk Radio with Mark Mancini. We do a wrestling show. We're doing one tomorrow, and it's called Wrestle Talk. And then next Thursday we do Sports Black and Gold podcast. So I have a lot going on, and I'm creating some more stuff. I was fishing this past Saturday. It was suggested I do a fishing show. So there we go.
Wow.
Well, there you go. And look, I used to produce a fishing show. I know Roger Shue, he's the tribal troll, also the moderator of this show. Love that fishing show. I don't know how you do a fishing show. Honestly, I can't talk fish because I don't like to fish. But, good for you. Congratulations on everything you're doing, bodyguard. Appreciate you. As always, thanks a lot for the time here on the
You're
Sports.
welcome.
Right, my friend.
Anytime.
All right, we'll see you next Wednesday there as we're picking up steam here with this guy, the madman himself. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution.
Well, I'm blessed enough, first of all, to be part of your great show. And look,
Thank you.
You're doing wonders with the Tampa Bay Bucks there, the Lightning, man. I want to see you at a Rays game, man. You are the face of Tampa. But I'm blessed this week. Just sat down with Craig Elo, the former Cleveland Cavaliers guard.
Nice. Okay.
And then I'll interview the Dodger broadcaster, Tim Nevert. I promise I won't show up with my black and gold pirate gear for that one.
That'd be a good idea.
Pittsburgh Pirates podcast Mondays and Fridays with the first base coach, Derek Brock, XM Sirius on Fridays. The Philly show. Next Thursday, we come back after vacation. Scott Spezio and Rick Riley, Sports Illustrated, will be on that one.
Wow.
Other than that, man, going into Miami, with Scott Morgan Roth doing something out there with Cornelius Canna in Phoenix and stuff. And I'm just now they got me in Vegas picking some games. I don't know if that's a good thing.
You admitted that you're the worst handicapper.
I am the world's worst handicapper. I thought the Pirates could
handicappers of all time on this show, and Harry the Greek got one of the worst handicappers of all time, and you're picking games.
I can't even get above the Mendoza line.
Well, you're like the Rays lineup at this point. They got like 10,000 guys in the lineup hitting under 200, and they're still finding ways to win. As last check, they were beating the Angels 4-2. Good stuff, Mark. We got to work on getting this show on XM Sirius Radio, right, my friend?
Hey, what's going on with those guys? What's going on with Fred Wallen, man? We got to get him going here, man.
I'm telling you,
get
him on the
I might have to be the mediator in this thing. You say, do a three-way call with you guys, man. I need you on XM. You're that damn good.
Thank you, my friend. There you go. Mark Mancini, the madman himself.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate the time here on a Wednesday night. All right, boss?
Next Wednesday, baby. Ripping it up.
Turnbuckle talk here on the Evolution. Good stuff there. All right. So, lots of subjects to talk about tonight. We talked about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tampa Bay Lightning. I have to go on a little rant. I really do. Because I was asked to move about a month ago from my landlord, and I get it. I understand it, but I didn't understand the market, if you will. My landlord comes to me one day on my sleep-in Saturday. Yes, it is a sleep-in Saturday. You're trying to sleep until 11:30 noon because you work all week. You do your two jobs. You do sales and Policy Scout, of course. Thank you very much for that. And then you do your sports broadcasting shows, and you get a knock at your door, and you've got to leave because he's got to rent the place that I've been at for the last 6 years to his son, which I understand. What I didn't understand is that the market is rambunctious. In fact, almost annoying. $650 a month is very, very good rates, if you will, with what I've been looking at. I mean, I was looking at an apartment today, 814 square feet, over under $1,700 a month for a one bedroom. Over what? 2,100? If you want to save money and go with the two bedroom, how much is it? Over under 2,500? Over 2,500. I I get it. That's the market these days. But what really is annoying about this whole situation is that my mother was actually helping me out with it. She called somebody today, gets somebody on the line. They say, oh, we got a 2-bedroom available. Oh, okay, great, cool. Calls the line up. They're HTGF, which I would say, how the hell do you still have a job? That's what they should be saying. After my mother talks to the person that's in the call center, they say, you know what? We got a 2-bedroom available, $862 a month. Cool, great. I'm on board because I want to create that other room for this studio here. I want to go from a situation where I'm not necessarily having lots of room to more room, if you will, at a more affordable rate. Is it possible? I'm not sure. So we get the call. I get told, you know what? If you leave work, of course, leave Policy Scout, tell my managers I got a 2-bedroom. Get down there, and guess what they say? There is nothing available. Now, you've got to be kidding me, right? Because I've got to be out by June 1st, and of course, that's my problem. But if your job is solely based on giving out accurate information and you don't do it correctly, then what are we doing? So with that being said, I got on the phone with the manager. The manager said there was never any agent that said any information like that at all. Called my mom a liar, called me a liar when they've done it before, and also called the person at the business, which is, of course, the Wellington and Holiday, a liar when she said they obviously have a problem, you think? But that's not the best part about it. Not only the rising prices of the market itself, but the annoying little scammers out there. You little D-bags, you know who you are. You take the pictures of the house. The house supposedly is up for rent on Facebook Marketplace or online, and it's not, because you're trying to get a $50 application fee. I don't know what we're doing. I mean, gas prices are up. Cost of living is up. You live in a tomato can, which is 500 square feet. You got to pay $1,500 to $1,700 a month. I mean, what the hell are we doing? I get it. People keep on talking about price gouging. I just want to gouge my eyes out after this whole moving experience. Guys, thanks a lot to all the guests here on a Wednesday night. To the legend himself, Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Amped Up Sports, Night Sports Productions. As always, thanks to Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast, Mark Mancini of Mancini Media, XM Sirius Radio, and of course, the bodyguard from the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams. Definitely tune in. I think we're going to be on tomorrow night, but I do apologize because this whole moving experience has absolutely blown my mind. 3 things here on a Wednesday night. Bring the passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Have a great night and go Lightning.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com Get enrolled and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football, but of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
How about 27 beer spilt on me? Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at